Go ahead.
Hey, turn that off, man.
Why is it always on?
Because when you press enter. Because it toggles.
Well, we're going.
Hey, what's up? This is Nerdish. I'm Levi. That's Brady.
Hey guys, Brady.
Hello, Brady. How are you?
How you doing, Levi?
Yeah, right. Just tooted.
You tooted?
Speaking of, where's Mojo? Where are you?
He's around.
Come here, mate.
We got a big test tomorrow.
An enormous test.
Yes.
Enormous.
Yeah. We should probably transition back to English at this point.
Well, we were speaking English.
I know, but there's just some funny sounding words. Hey guys, tomorrow morning is the big morning. 8 a.m. for most of you guys. ACT, this is where the rubber hits the road. The road will be hit by the rubber, except that's passive form, so don't do that. You want to do active voice. The rubber hits the road, not the road is hit by the rubber.
Right.
Yep. We got a lot to talk about today.
We have a lot to talk about.
You're right. Oof.
Brendan is not here at the moment, so his personal life is on the table.
Oh, completely on the table. Just
Ooh.
splayed open like a
Yeah.
prime piece of meat.
Yeah. Hey, Mojo, if you're here, say hi, because there is one more question that we can do of those that you listed that we haven't done yet.
Very exciting.
If you're not here, do not say hi. Don't even think about it.
Mojo, 1, 2, 3. Something, how about me? Is that his song?
Yeah.
It's a song,
I
right?
was singing that all stream last night.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to turn off that light.
Well, that's a good idea.
You.
Yeah.
Tutor.
Let's get him started.
All right, guys. If any of you guys are watching,
You can just send us a little message, say hi. We're going to talk about all sorts of stuff today. Biggest thing. The biggest thing is all of the things. English, math, reading, science. English, math, reading, science. Let's start with a little warm-up. Separating two independent clauses. It's one of my favorites, okay? So, imagine you have two of Santa's brothers that have left the family at a very young age, and so they've been on their own for a long time. And then you suddenly see them back together again. You got to get in there and separate those clauses. They're very independent. That's what you need to do. And there's a couple ways to do that. There are 4, okay? If that doesn't convince you, I will say that independent clause is just grammatical fancy talk for complete sentences. So when you have complete sentences that can stand alone, you have independent clauses.
Hey, what's up?
Someone here?
Sapien. Is that not working? I'm going to fix that. Sorry, Sapien. Our chat's not working in a sec, but hello.
Levi's going to fix it. Fix it, Levi. Fix it.
Beg Sapien to ask questions.
Sapien, ask questions. We need you. Help me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope. Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, there's 4 ways to do it. The first one should be very straightforward. Just a period. Periods go at the end of sentences, so they start new sentences as well. You might not think about that, but periods start new sentences as well as end them. Next thing, very similar to a period. Semicolon. Semicolon only does one thing, which is exactly what a period does. Separates two independent clauses. If you see a semicolon in your answers, look what's before, look what's after. If they can both stand alone as sentences, you're good to go. Next thing, comma, fanboys. The fanboys. That's an acronym for 7 coordinating conjunctions that, along with a comma, can separate two independent clauses successfully. The fanboys are for, and nor, but or, yet, so. You got to have a comma and a fanboys if that's the mission. Separating two independent clauses. These words are used elsewhere. Commas are used elsewhere. There's a bunch of uses of commas. But if you see these together, a comma and a fanboys, they've created this new hyper-deadly machine that only has one purpose, which is separating two independent clauses. Great. Comma fanboys. And then, of course, we have the colon. Now, the colon has a couple different uses, but there's one thing about the colon that you always have to check, which is that the thing before the colon is an independent clause, which means it can stand alone. You can imagine a period being where the colon is, and that first thing could end there. It'd be fine. As far as what's after, it could be anything you want, which includes an independent clause. That's why it's on this list in the first place of being able to separate two independent clauses. Are we doing permutations or something?
We are.
Ah, look at that.
Sapie and I asked the question.
Look at that. Look at that. Okay.
Hey, sorry. Yeah, keep going.
So, with a semicolon, independent clauses must be on both sides. With a colon, you only need to have one on the first side, the left side. You can have whatever you want on the right side, including independent clause. Blah, blah, blah. What you can't do is say things like, I have many hobbies such as colon, running, playing tennis, and eating hamsters. Because such as colon is not a way to end a sentence. You cannot say, yes, Levi will, here we go. You have to be able to end the sentence with that colon. So such as colon is wrong. Like colon is also wrong. Like you say, I like a lot of things, like colon, breakfast and vegetables and my grandma. You cannot use like colon as well, and you can't use things like consists of. Okay? You need to be able to put a period there and see that that first thing can end well. Are we sure our chat's working, Levi?
No.
Great. Oh, geez, we love that.
No, I think it should be.
All right. If you're watching,
It's working.
go ahead and send us a message.
Yeah, Sapie and I, can you just say hi real quick?
Just say hi.
Checking if the chat works.
Just want to check if the chat works.
Yeah.
A little chat work check.
Yep. Just check it for us.
Just you know,
Say hi.
We'll say hi.
Hi again.
Hey!
Hey, there you
Very
are.
good.
Very nice.
That's a relief. Very good. Very good.
Are you done with this?
Yeah, I think
You
so.
can do that if you want.
I would love that.
Yeah.
You want to read the question for me?
Yep. I like fruits such as apples, pears, and dogs.
That's not
Got it.
what you
Got it.
said
Got
you were
it.
gonna do.
Okay, so the question is, how many different permutations of the word people can you have?
Ah. Okay, so permutations means order matters. You can put things in different orders and you create new possibilities. It's very exciting.
Hey, Sapie and I, are you familiar with permutations and combinations, or are you coming at this question with zilch? Because if you are, we can start a little bit more basic and hit everything, or we can just do this specific problem.
Yes, combinations, permutations, very, very useful to know. You will probably need to use it
If you're in high
once.
school.
I'm an AP Calc BC because I am a robot. It's been a few years. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
let's talk about them then.
There's definitely, we've seen that, yeah. It's tough for kids who are in higher math classes because they just haven't done other stuff for a
Very
long
good.
time.
All right, one of my favorite little lessons here. You don't like this pink,
No,
do you?
I like this pink.
You don't like it.
Do you not like it, sir?
Combinations and permutations, also known as permutations.
That's the loose Greek translation, is it not?
Very, very loose.
And very
It's-
Greek.
It's like just kind of flapping in the wind because it's so loose. Combinations and permutations. Here's what's going on. These deal with counting different orders of things. All right? How many different orders you can make of things. Let's consider, I always go with this one, those little kid building blocks that have letters on them so that you can teach little kids to spell and get them introduced to the letter B, which will be with you for the rest of your life. Unless you end up moving to a different country that is a completely different alphabet very early on in your life, and then it turns out that you learn B for no real reason, but I'm sure that happens to the minority of people. Okay, we got these three blocks, and how many different groupings of two can we put these blocks? So how many different ways can I just grab two of them and say, here's a way to do it? This is pretty straightforward. AB, that's a group right there. Great. I could do BC, and there's one more.
Why not AB, my lord?
Hold on.
Or BA, my lord?
Hold on.
I'm trying to help, my lord.
Okay, peasant, come on up here.
Yes,
Ask
sir,
your
my lord.
question.
Yes, my lord.
Ask your question.
How old are you, my lord?
That's not the question.
Right. What about BA, my lord?
He says, what about BA? Well, order does not matter here. So BA is equivalent to AB. If order did matter, this would be a new possibility. But order does not matter right now because we're doing combinations. Okay? Combinations is where order does not matter. Permutations is where order matters. So the way that I'd write this out, the combinations function on your calculator is NCR. And it's under math, probability. You'll see NCR. Certain calculators have different ways to input it. Certain calculators let you put in the numbers like this. Other calculators require you to write 4 first and then call the function and then write 2, press enter. But either way...
And the newer ones actually fill it in and you end up doing like... you have to fill it in like that, I think. I think I've seen that before.
Well, I think it gives you the little open spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just to write the correct numbers.
On the top and bottom like that?
I think so.
I haven't seen that, but
I also made it up, so I was just hoping I was
that'll
right.
happen. Okay, Bob Jamaro. When is it a simple multiplication type or permutation? Bob Jamaro, we will get to that in a second. Okay, so in this case, what we did is we took 3 objects and we created groupings of 2. So that would be 3 choose 2, or on your calculator, 3C2. And how many options did we get? We got 3 of them. So 3 choose 2 is equal to 3. I'll write that down. 3 choose 2 gives us 3 options. Can you also cover conics? You want to put on the queue? Absolutely, Bob Jamara. We'd love to. Then there are permutations, which is more complicated. So let me just write out combinations underneath this. That's what we just did. Permutations is where order matters. So it creates new possibilities, is what that means. So we have some new orderings we can do. Let's do the original 3 that we had. So we had AB, we had BC, and we had AC. But now we can flip the order and call it a new grouping. BA, CB, CA. So what this is going to mean is that, is this all probability? It's part of it. Sometimes these questions are just combinatorics questions that don't have probability as part of them. Other times they do have probability, like they're nested within probability.
Yeah, this is what we were talking about, Mojo. It is, Brady, he's getting to the formulae, which you can have on your calculator.
Formulae.
Formulae?
Yeah, the formulae has a lot of factorial in it. Most calculators, if they're not just simple forward function calculators, have combinatorics on them. NCR, NPR. It's under the math probability menu. So find math on your calculator. You might have to press second, depending on the calculator. And then go to math probability, and then you'll see NCR and NPR. Okay, 3 permute 2, there are going to be 6 options we just found right here. Okay, so that is the basic gist. The formula for them, which is built into your calculator, so you do not really need to know this, is going to be, okay, so NCR, it is, okay, the total number of objects. So it is, I'm sorry. A better one. Look at us. Yeah, we should probably start throwing things away when they're not. Yeah, I will in a sec, Mojo. N factorial over R factorial times N minus R factorial. Whereas P, and you do not need to remember these because they're built on your calculator. Find them on your calculator, get used to how they work, because this is not something that you want to have to try to recall on an exam. Over N minus R factorial. Okay? Now remember, factorial is where you start with that number and you multiply it by all the integers between that number and 1. So we're going to get 5 times 4 is 20 times 6, which is going to be 120. So 5 factorial is 120. Yeah. Okay, so an example of where you'd have to do this. Here's an example.
Should I erase this?
Yeah, probably. Let's say that...
Should we do
people well,
first?
there's a complicating factor here, so let's start with the basics.
Okay.
Let's say that there's a classroom of kids. Let's say that there are 20 kids in a classroom, and they're going to be creating a little student council for their class. And the student council is going to have 3 kids on it. How many different groupings of 3 kids could be on the student council? Okay, there's no positions on the student council. You're either on or you're off. What that tells you is that this is combinations, not permutations. If we have Billy, Becky, and Jamie, that's the same grouping as Jamie, Becky, and Billy. So we don't care about order here.
Beats.
So we have...
Sorry.
We have what?
I was just doing it. Office reference, sorry.
You have 20 objects. You're going to be choosing 3 of them. 20 choose 3. You put that in your calculator, it'll tell you how many groupings you can possibly make. It's going to be a lot of them. 1140. Yes, it should be something quite large. Okay. Now let me change.
Nice.
Let me change the situation.
The 1140 might not. We don't know. Like you're probably right.
Yeah, we're assuming that you're right here. That does seem like it's in the right ballpark.
I believe you, Mojo.
We have a calculator. Now, let's say that there are positions on the student council. You could have the same 3 kids, but then shuffle them around between president, vice president, and I don't know, secretary or something like that. Okay. That's going to change that's going to mean that order now matters. So we want to do the same thing except with permutations. 20 permute 3. Mojo, 1, 2, 3. What is that going to give you? What does that say in your calc? Yes. 9,840. Notice that there are more permutations than combinations. That is always the case. Okay? If you can order things differently and that creates new possibilities, permutations will always be more.
Unless it's
He changed it.
unless it's one permute one.
Yes, of
Versus
course.
one
Okay, yeah, of course.
combined.
But then again, then why do you need to do it?
Did that help?
Yeah, no, it did.
Okay, I
did.
helped them and I helped you, without frustrating you at all.
No, you're fine.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
I also want to point something out. You don't necessarily need to know even that's so what's the calculator actually doing? But I want to. Can I explain something?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, go ahead, start.
Yeah, I actually come at it from the opposite direction. So I like thinking of permutations first. So if we have president, vice president, and what is the other one?
Secretary.
Secretary. So president, VP, and secretary. Then these are our three things. And the first one, we have 20 kids to choose from because we started with 20. Then we have 19 because we're not replacing that first kid. They can only be president. And then 18. So there are 20 ways, and then 19 ways, then 18 ways. So if you're building a tree, you're starting with nothing, and you go 20 choices, and then each of those 20 choices have 19, and then each of those, however many now, have 18. So it's 20 times 19 times 18, which is going to be that number.
1140.
No, it's not.
It's the big one?
Yes, it's the big one.
Okay.
Because...
Oh, you have to divide by...
Yes.
Yes.
So now here's what I think is cool. This is why I like going the opposite direction. And that's what this is, right? Because this is, what is that?
20 factorial.
Right? 20 factorial. But we're not doing 20 factorial. We're starting 20 factorial, but then cutting it off. And we're cutting it off 17 too early,
Yeah.
which is n minus r, which is 20 minus 3. So that's what you're cutting off.
So
this is the visual of that formula.
So you got 20 times 19 times 18, but then you have 17 times 16 times 15, and that
Right.
is going to cancel itself out with all the things after 18. That's why you
Yes.
end up with your 2318.
And now, here's what I think is cool going backwards from permutations to combinations.
Yes.
Can I do this?
Yeah, of course.
Yes. Is you have this number, but now, if we're going back to combinations, that makes sense. This is mostly going to be like
Yes.
1 to 2. Not even 2. Probably 1.
Yeah.
And you can do it either way. We're going to do people, which is a pretty middle-of-the-road level question for this. We're permuting people. Now here, if we're going backwards, we're saying instead of president, vice president, and secretary, we just have 3 student council people. We don't care about the order of these people. So after doing this thing, we're going to divide it by 3 factorial. Because we have these, but now we don't care about the order. So we just did care about the order, so we're going to uncare about the order, which means we're going to divide by permuting 3.
Yeah, basically, you have 6 groupings of the same 3 kids in every possible grouping you could think
Yeah.
of.
So you have A, B, C, B, C, A, all of those, and you're dividing it by how many of those there are. So you just care about the A, B, C, and you don't care about B, C, A, or C, B, A, or whatever it is. So that's another way. I seriously like thinking about it that way, and that's where this divided by R comes from.
Read Bob's question. So,
Reading
why do
Bob's
you need
question.
something to multiply? Okay, so Bob Jamaro. Technically, Levi simply multiplied right here because he was able to think through it as simply multiplying. You might also be thinking of when there's a bunch of different options for, like, a password or like what you might order at a restaurant. I noticed most combinations. Yes, you did. So, for instance, are like multiplying. Yeah, because you end up having factorial in it, so there will be multiplication. Let's say that you have like an iPhone with, we'll say, 5-digit password. So what I would recommend is giving yourself slots for each option. Every option is a digit. There are 10 digits, not 9, 10 because of 0. 0, 1, 2, all the way to 9. So you write the number of options you have in each slot. You got 10 options here, and let's say you can use the same number over and over if you wanted to. We're not running out of numbers here. Once you use 1, you can keep using it. So you have 10, 10 options, 10 options, 10 options, 10 options. In this case, you would be multiplying all of these together, and you get 10 to the 5th. So that's a multiplication problem right there. If you were at a restaurant, and they had, let's say, appetizers, and they had entrees, and they had desserts, and you had, let's see, 7 appetizers to choose from, 11 entrees, and 4 desserts. And the question is, if you're going to order one of every course, how many total meals could you create? This is another one where you've got your slots, you have a number of options in each slot, and you multiply. Now this is not combinations or permutations, and neither is this. This is counting when you have different options in each category. I almost imagine it like when you go play the slots at a casino, which none of you guys should be old enough to do. Every single one of these is like a slot. So you have all of these numbers that can spin. And each one of these has those numbers.
That's
and
cool.
you're spinning all of them, and you're seeing how many different ways could you spin them. Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
That's kind of fun.
It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. It's not totally fun, but it's a little fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we do people?
Yeah, we should do people now.
Okay, I forget what the question is.
The question is, how many ways can you organize the 6 letters of people, is what
Yes.
the question is. So, there are 6 letters of people, and we're going to be reordering them, which means we're putting them into groupings of 6. So, that's the first thing, is that we're going to repermute 6 letters. So that in your calculator is going to be 6, P6. We're not done yet, but can you guys help by telling me what 6P6 is? We also have a calculator. I'll get that.
30,
Yeah, there's
120,
no way you're gonna
360,
do this.
720.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
It's 720.
Oh, sure. So we got 6, math, probability, NPR.
Thank you,
6,
Mojo. See?
720. 720 exactly. However, Mojo, did you check the Discord?
What?
He says, I think he means a question like the one I put in the Discord.
Hips.
Check that Discord.
Oh, maybe one of the old ones that were in there?
Maybe. Okay.
Oh, Mojo just put one in. Okay, yeah. There's
720 is not your answer, though, because look at this. We have 2 E's and we have 2 P's. So there's a bunch of different groupings that would look identical. These P's are identical P's to each other. There's not like P1 and P2. So therefore, let me give you an example. You might have PP, E, O, L, E. But you also might switch these P's and have PP, E, O, L, E. We don't want to count this second one. We want to get rid of those options because they're identical, okay? The way that you do that is you divide by the number of repeating objects factorial. So right here we've got 2 repeating P's. We're going to divide by 2 factorial, but we also have 2 repeating E's. So we're going to also divide by another 2 factorial to represent those E's. So this is 2 times 1, which is 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 720 over 4.
Yeah, so it's always just that concept of you're permuting and then you realize, oh, but I'm double counting stuff. So for all the P's, you need to then divide by that many permutations, and all the E's the same thing. So if we added another L here, then we would have to do another 2 factorial on the bottom, and then this would not be 6P6, it would be 7P7, that type of thing.
Yeah.
That shares one that you posted, Mojo. I want to get to the conics because that was somebody else who asked that, I think. Who was that? Who asked conics? Are
I
you
think
still
it was
here?
Bob Jamaro.
Okay, so I want to jump to conics, but the chairs one is the same thing as people, but there's no doubling of P's or E's, so it's just 6 factorial or 6 permute 6.
That's different from 6 factorial, is it not?
Huh?
It's the same thing as 6 factorial, isn't it?
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Never mind, because you're dividing by 0 factorial.
Yes.
Yes.
0 factorial is 1. That's
Yeah.
not going to be on the test, and I actually don't know how to prove that.
I can prove it.
I can prove it pattern-wise, but like I don't know why.
Oh, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah,
Oh, you get the fun one.
so when you're going from here to here, you're getting rid of this 4, so you're dividing by 4. When you're going from 3 factorial to 2 factorial, you're dividing by 3. Here, you're dividing by 2, and so technically you're dividing by 1 right here. And if you divide by 1, you still end up at 1. So 0 factorial ends up being 1, which is mind-boggling. It boggles the mind. Oh, why is it not doing its thing again?
No. It's my least favorite thing.
New messages. No.
1 is not a prime number,
One
it is a
not
unit.
prime. 2 is the first prime number and the only even prime number. 2. That's where the list
can
starts.
you do conics? Because I hate them.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll do conics, yeah. You're talking to me.
I know.
First I'll do conics.
Thought for a moment I wasn't talking to you,
And then you realize...
and then I was, looking at you.
Right, you realize you're looking at me.
Yeah, I'm bad at conics too.
Bob
Yeah.
Jamaro, that doesn't mean you're always going to be bad at conics. That means you're currently not that strong at them, but you can get better. Okay? You're asking about it. That's the first step. It's admitting that you have a problem.
Admitting
that's the
guilt.
first step.
Yes, admit your guilt.
Admitting shame.
Yeah, we'll need that in writing. Well, we have it in writing.
Shame-centric.
You get the basics. Great. Okay.
Very good. Okay. So, conics. I love conics. Conics are great. Do you? Maybe. If you picture a cone on top of another cone in 3 dimensions, and then take a plane and slice them. You can slice them in a bunch of different ways and create a bunch of different shapes, which is why they're called conics. One shape that you can create is a circle. If you take a plane, a flat plane, and slice right through one of the cones, a cross-section is going to be a circle. So, are you running backwards or in a mirror? I am, just like Levi, we took a sabbatical to Tibet a couple years ago, and we learned with a very specific set of Tibetan monks the art of writing English backwards. And then we came back to share our gifts with the world for good, not for evil, for good.
Yes. Also, to answer the question more honestly, we are writing backwards and on a mirror.
No.
What?
The camera flips the footage.
So that's how it flips. So
yeah,
it's right side.
Writing backwards and yeah, okay. So we unnecessarily write backwards. Yeah, exactly. If it was a mirror, you would see their back. Maybe? Maybe
well, we
not.
have another mirror there, so that point doesn't make any sense. Also, what I said doesn't help.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You could also point the camera at a mirror and then have, so like, here, it's going to be pointing at, and then we got a mirror here, and then we're over here. Now, that's not what we're doing. There you go. We're just flipping the footage. It's a mirror. Don't forget that the angle of incidence equals the angle of reflection. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's talk about circles now. Circles. Graphing circles. That's your first conic section that you need to know. The equation for a circle on a graph. Knowing that the center is some point h comma k, and the radius is r. This is your equation. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. The more general form here, we gotta, oh geez, the messages.
What's up? Oh.
Yeah. The more general form here, if your center is just the origin, so it's super easy, it's x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared, which should strike you as, wow, that's pretty much Pythagorean theorem, because it is Pythagorean theorem. What a center is concerned with is all of the points that are a certain distance away from a central point. That's how you define a circle in the first place. So if you measure your distance from the center to a certain point x, y, and it ends up being your radius, and you can make a little right triangle out of that, then you've got a point on your circle. All right? If you have a center that is not the origin, it's some point h comma k, you have to subtract those coordinates separately from x and y. So just to give you an example, if we had a circle that had a center of -5, 7 and a radius of 6, we'd do x. Because we're subtracting h, and h would be negative here, we're going to be adding 5. Plus 5 squared plus y minus 7 squared is equal to 36. Right there is the graph of a circle. Okay? Fantastic. Then we have ellipses. Have you ever seen hyperbolas? I've never seen hyperbolas on the ACT. No. Yes. So there's technically 4 different conic sections. There's circles, there's hyperbolas, there's ellipses, and there's also parabolas. Parabolas are quadratics, and they really don't get into like the conic perspective on parabolas, so don't worry about that. Hyperbolas don't come up, don't worry about that. It's really circles and ellipses that you need to worry about. Okay, so ellipses are like oblong circles. They're ovals, basically. They're ovals, and the thing that you need to know about ellipses, first off, your center, h comma k. And then your ellipses have a different y radius and a different x radius. Some ellipses look like this, so they're more horizontally oriented, and your x radius is longer. And what we call the x radius is A, and the y radius is B. And sometimes ellipses are vertically oriented. We still call the x radius A, though, and the y radius B. Okay? The equation for an ellipse is strikingly similar to that of a circle, except we're dividing by that radius squared.
I'm going to help.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Got lonely.
And we set it equal to 1. Not radius squared. We set it equal to 1. New messages. That's our favorite part. Seems familiar. Ooh. Oh, did you guys talk about it or something? You guys talk about ellipses together? Or something?
Yeah.
Very good.
But
yeah.
it's
Yeah, right, exactly. So an ellipse with, let's say, a center of 4, -2, and let's say the x radius was 3. So we're going to say x radius. That's not a great notation at all. X
that's
are
fine.
3.
That's fine.
Whatever. Okay.
Just kind of write them all on top of each other. I get it.
And then y radius is 8. And by the way, x radius and y radius is not actually how they're normally called. We call them that because isn't that really simple? The x radius and the y radius?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good. But they're called like the semi-major axis and the semi-minor axis, depending on which one is bigger, which is whatever, exactly. So here we would have x - 4 squared. We put it over the x radius squared, which would be 9 plus y minus k squared. We put that over 64 is equal to 1. Now, one thing that is a hyperbola just when the ellipse doesn't equal 1? No, it's where you subtract instead. It's where this thing in here is subtraction. That's where you get a hyperbola. Yeah, good question, though. Very, very good question. Do not worry about hyperbolas. They're not going to be on the test. The other thing that might come up, besides just knowing these forms and recognizing what like the dimensions of a certain shape would be if they give you the equation, is sometimes they'll give you an equation that's not in standard form, and they'll ask you things like, what was the radius of the circle, or what was the radius, or sorry, the center of the circle. And for that, you have to do completing the square. Should we show them that? We probably should.
No.
No? Okay, if you can find a question that you don't understand about circles or ellipses, let us know. Send it to us in the Discord, and we will talk about it.
Yeah, definitely graph this. If they give you an equation that's not in the standard form and you need to figure stuff out, graph it. That would probably be the best way to do it without completing the square. Or there are other ways. There are other ways.
There are always other ways.
You sound like a bad Power Rangers villain who's laughing evilly.
Well, yeah, it's like because he's like not a great actor.
Yeah, no, not because they're not a great actor, just because they're so unhappy acting in the role they're acting.
Every
in.
time you guys write a log, you just did. Can you go off screen for a screenshot for a second? Hey, can you go off screen for a screen? Here's what you can do. You can go after the stream is done. You can rewatch it whenever you want to, and you can go to what's it called? Just go to that point in time in the video, and then just take a screenshot. I guess we'll be in it, yes. But you can still get the screenshots, and honestly, they're gonna look better if we're in it.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
If you can catch us before we do that, we're happy to walk off screen for a sec. But you only get a sec, so you got to be ready.
We got to move.
It's not a bad idea, but
people to see and things to do.
We will discuss.
Yeah. Okay. What are you doing
Maybe
now?
2 people is a bit too much. We are doing so. Sapien and I, are you still here? Can you say hi? You asked some. The questions themselves are super confusing because they use the.
Bob Jamaro gets the general form.
I doubt it.
But here it comes.
So I see no Sapien and I at the moment, so I'm not going to answer your questions until you come back, unless that's you.
Sapien and I come back.
Nope,
but a lot of ACT Conics questions. Here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. Hi.
There you are.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting response, Bob Jamaro, is you went with hi from a different user's account.
Don't listen to him. Okay, so I wrote terms here for you because the 2 questions you posted, number 59 with the residual with the line of best fit, it explained this term in a mathematical way that the first time I saw this question, I forget when it was the first time I saw this, it makes it extremely confusing. But all that is if you have a line of best fit, and you have these points here, and then you got one right there, and you got one here, something like that. The residual is the distance, is how much you're wrong. So you have this line that is, you're guessing where all the points will be. So for any given independent variable, whatever it is, let's say at this point, this distance here, so the line of best fit is guessing that your y value, whatever that is going to be here, but the actual recorded value is here. So your residual is that. That's what they were explaining. is that what held you up? Because in this case, I think the question becomes pretty simple, but that description of what a residual was very confusing. Okay, so that's all there is to it for this one. I'm sure you can figure it out from there. And then the next one is a similar issue. It's maybe. Let me know if the next problem you posted, which was, do you know what a period is? Because they spent a while actually explaining periods for, standard deviation. Yeah, let's do standard deviation too.
Oh, Mojo's got a question here. Bob's not on the Discord, okay.
So, Sapien and I, this one with the trig function here, they explain what a period is in a relatively confusing way. Is that what tripped you up? Do you know what a period is? Or did you get that and it was solving the problem after that was the issue? Or was it the whole thing you have no idea what's going on?
And Bob, question for you. Is this the kind of question you're saying is weird when you see something like this?
Just click, don't move. Yeah. Okay. Very good. So the period of a function is how long it takes for that thing to start repeating again. That's the most, conceptually simple way to explain that. And the way they explained it is, when f of x equals f of x plus p, which is annoying to say the least, but I guess that makes sense. Yeah, it's the distance between the peaks or the valleys, or it's the distance until that function begins to repeat.
Gray Bones, you're not going to fail. Sorry, fail. You're not going to fail.
You can't, technically.
You can't fail. There's no way to fail.
Yeah. So if this is your function, your period is going to be how long it takes for you to start over. So if we're looking at starting from, and this will continue, whatever. If we're starting at the origin, how long does it take? We're going up here from the middle. So it takes that long to start over again before we start going. So it's up, down, up, right? And then we're starting over here. Or it's from the peak to the peak, if that's a little bit easier for you to visualize, or the valley to the valley. It doesn't matter. All of those will be the same distance.
It's an
that's
x
your
distance.
Period. It is the x distance, yes.
What they were saying is weird.
Yes, unfortunately, they can't explain it the way I just did, because the way I just did sort of makes sense, but it's not mathematical and it's not a foolproof way to explain it. They have to explain it in a mathematical way, which is frustrating. Even and odd functions.
So, but they never really have those on the test.
What?
Even and odd functions. That's something that they have on the SAT 2 math test. Math 2, but they really
True,
don't have.
true.
They don't. Yeah, I mean, even and odd don't really show up on the ACT, so I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Sure.
I mean, we could talk
Yeah.
about them, but they're technically they don't usually show up.
Yeah.
Area of sector, that's a good thing.
Yes, sectors, that's fun. Okay, so this question here. Sapien, are you good? Do you know how to do this question now, or should I actually do the question that you posted? Because I'm happy to do that. Ooh, this is cool. What is one of the Oh, the period of this. Oh, that's all it is. Oh, okay. All right, so that is the answer, essentially. So take two peaks and then find the distance x-wise. That's it.
Area of sector. Yeah, somebody's taking an answer unless I'm saying that it's weird.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. So what's an interesting thing about the math section is that the questions get harder, but towards the end, they just get into these esoteric math concepts that you don't do very much, and they're maybe hard, but you don't have to. Oh, did I need to not erase this?
Well, I was waiting for Bob Jamera to get back to me about that. Skada! Areas of circles are an interesting sector of math. Skada, are you trying to be like... Actually, though, real talk. Are you trying to ever do comedy or try? Because your puns are quite funny. I'm serious.
I wonder, do you think Skada just between... So we think that he's living his life, but maybe he is planning his next...
For weeks in advance?
Since the last time he was up.
He's got so many different categories of jokes that he's just waiting for someone to make a specific question, and he has a little path where he's going to go with that. So whenever I ask for sector area, he's ready for that.
That's awesome, Skada.
Yeah, that's great. I imagine his bedroom has those magazine clippings with pieces of yarn connected to everything, he's trying to unravel some mystery or some conspiracy.
Oh god.
I'd like that.
Okay.
Someone cares at least. Bob Jamero, you find anything? I had a question for you that Levi
Sort of erased. I
sort of
apologize.
erased. It's okay, you didn't know.
Yes, true. Standard deviation we should do. Let's get rid of this. Ooh, that wasn't a good idea. Standard deviation. This is fun. I like standard deviation. Standard deviation. Okay. No, that doesn't help.
By a show of hands, is that what you're going to say? By
Yeah.
a show of hands. Well, they can put a little hand emoji.
Yeah, put little hand emojis if you want to talk, or you should want to talk about standard deviation, but I'm happy to just direct it at Mojo, or I can direct it at the world at large. Because the whole world is watching.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. The world has its eyes on us, and we
Have our eyes
don't
on the
know
world.
where Brendan is.
A review could never help. I think I do, actually. He just did. He never confirmed that he was going to do it, but I think. Okay, anyway. Can you do that while I explain this? Thank you. So, what do we got here? Well, I don't even know what I'm doing. Standard deviation. Thank you.
Oh, hello, Encryption XYZ. It is good to see you finally. What's new in your life?
Thank you, Scotta. Okay. Standard deviation conceptually is the measure of how much all of the elements in a set deviate from each other, or the average. So if you have the numbers 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and you have the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you have the numbers -1, -1,
Scotta.
7, 7.
Standard deviation's pretty standard nowadays.
Yeah.
The world has certainly changed. It's become more standard than ever. One of the most standard things there is.
Okay. The average of all three of these data sets is 3. So I wrote them for that reason. And now we're talking about standard deviation. So how much do these... It's basically how much do they spread out. Now, it's not spread. Spread is actually another statistical term. But standard deviation measures how far each of the elements in the set deviate from the average of that set.
Hold on. It is a measure of spread.
Oh, it is a measure
Yes.
of... But spread is
You're
its own
thinking
term,
of
right?
absolute mean deviation.
No, but there's a term called spread. I think.
We looked up one time what just taking the average of all the spreads were, and that was absolute mean deviation, I'm pretty sure. But there might be another thing called spread.
I think I may be making it up. Ignore spread. It is the distance of. It's a measure of the distance of all of these all of these elements from their average. So that means that the standard deviation of this first set is 0 because they don't deviate at all. And you don't have to be able to calculate standard deviation ever. They do not ask you to do that. But this standard deviation is 0, which is pretty obvious. They don't deviate at all from the mean. This standard deviation, I don't know what it is. It's some number, but it's a little bit bigger than 0 because they do deviate. 2 and 4 are not 3. They're a little far away, and then 1 and 5 are a little farther away than that. And then this has an even bigger standard deviation because these numbers are even farther from 3. And if you had something like -1,000,000 and 1,000,006 or 1,000,007 or whatever it would be, 1,000,006, that would be a really big standard deviation. So, what's this?
Well, the average of this set would be 2.
Yeah.
How does it compare to the standard deviation of this set?
So the standard deviation... Oh, I've never actually shown them this type of thing before. The standard deviation of these two sets are equivalent. Their averages are different, but they deviate the same amount from their respective averages. So they have the same standard deviation. I've never seen a question like that on the test, but that's cool. Does this make sense to everybody? Does everybody understand it? Scotta, do you have any more puns? Or questions about Brendan's personal life, or even better, puns about Brendan's personal life. Yes, Mr. Levi thanks you. Okay, good. Now, moving on from this, you might get this, you might get a data set like that, but you might more likely get a data set like this, that it has things like this, and this is a bar graph for you. And
Mojo, they wouldn't ask you to do that. Standard deviation, actually calculating is kind of complicated. It involves square roots of averages and things like that.
Yeah, distance.
They're not going to want you to do that.
What is it? The sum of the squares of the distances of each element from...
The root means square. So, okay, so the roots
Oh, it's the
of the mean
square
of the
root
squares.
of the sum of the squares of the distances of each element from the mean. That's what it is, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So if you're taking this thing versus... Oh, I'm good. Oh, gosh. Vectors? We can do vectors. Say not, or...
Did you say, so it's a hold on. Root means square. You square everything, all the distances, then you take their mean, and then take the square root of that at the end. Not that it matters.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you review vectors? Wait. Look at that. I'm good. I'm pretty set on standard deviation.
Very nice.
Scott, you're insane, man. They gotta throw you in like an insane asylum.
Okay. Now, this is a last thing. They might ask you to compare data sets like this, in which case they'd be asking which of the, let's say they have the same average or not, it doesn't really matter. Which of these seems like it has a greater standard deviation? I would say that it's the bottom one, because the average is probably going to be somewhere in the middle here, but most of the terms are farther away. So the more terms that you have farther away, the higher the standard deviation. Here, there are more terms towards the center, so I would say this has a smaller standard deviation. Anybody want to clarify anything on this?
Oh, yes, he did tell us why he wouldn't be here.
He did,
Yeah,
but
a while
like,
back.
he wasn't sure,
Well, whatever, well, it's fine.
and he said he'd let me know, but he didn't.
Okay.
It's okay.
Would that be a science question?
No,
they don't.
they
really,
will not ask you about
abs-
standard
absolutely
deviation
not.
on the
No, I
science section.
can't believe you'd
Absolutely
ask
not. They're
that.
not gonna do
Oh
that.
my gosh, the gall! If they were to ask that,
The ACT not taking into account your feelings.
does Brendan ride a Mustang? He looks like a Mustang kind of dud. Brendan is a dud. Some kind of a dud right there.
Yeah,
I
he's a
think
Mustang
he'd like
dud.
a motorcycle.
He would love a motorcycle.
Is there a lot on Conics?
No, there's not a
probably
lot on Conics.
one. That's it. We're talking about higher level stuff right now, so it's high shelf stuff does not come up that often. You really can't bank on any one particular concept definitely being on it. It's just kind of random.
It hurt somebody.
I've only seen one half question to test. Important, boy.
You make them sound so dumb when you read like that, but it's just you.
It's just me. It's just bird.
It's just bird.
So okay, we should talk about caw
There you go.
because I'm a bird.
Yeah.
Should we talk about sectors?
Talk about sectors. You want to talk about sectors?
I
Normally
would
Brendan
love
does it, but you want to do
to
it?
talk about sectors.
Very nice.
Tonight's my night to do all the things that Brendan normally does. Okay. Improbable events or improbable events. Ooh. Improbable. Okay, sectors. Circles. We'll start with a circle.
Have we also talked... Hey, Scott, if you're still here, have we talked about how every dad joke that you make, there is a child that's created?
Somewhere in the world.
Yeah. In the universe.
In the universe, correct.
Not necessarily on Earth.
Personally, I'm an ACT kind of guy, which is because my father was, and his father was before him, and his father before him. What about you?
Yeah. I'm an SAT kind of guy because I base it on the test. Not what my father does because I make my own choices.
Yes.
Nothing to...
There's no inherently better test. There are students that are better at one than the other, and they should take the one that they're better at comparatively. But that's all we have to say about that. So as far as sectors, let's...
That's all I have to say about
that. Exactly. Here's a quick little review. I'm a thespian, so...
I had to take a seat.
The Lord Thespis. He or she is looking down at you very proud right now. Quick review. Circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. And area of a circle is pi r squarea. Area is pi r squarea. Patent pending. Just kidding, it's not mine. And in this case, if our radius is 8, this is going to be 2 times 8 times pi, which is going to be 16 pi. And our area is going to be pi times 8 squared, which is 64 pi. We need to know that in order to find the sector. So right here, I have a sector lined out for you. And I have a minor arc. Let's say this is point A and that's point B. The minor arc is the shortest distance around the circle from A to B, which is this one right here. The major arc would be going around the long way, the scenic route, which we don't want to do. Columbus was so annoyed with taking the scenic route, he thought he could take a minor arc. C equals 8 pi naught 16. C, 2 pi r, 2 times 8 is 16 pi. I think you're thinking of pi r, Mojo. But the circumference is 2, yeah, okay. Okay, so my question to you guys is the length from A to B, what is that? This is a right angle. That's incredibly important. How could you find this distance right here? Fraction-wise, don't worry about it, Mojo. We all make mistakes, except for Brendan, who's perfect. This is clearly a quarter of the circle. It looks like a quarter. 90 degrees is a quarter of a circle. So because 90 is a quarter of 360, this is going to be a quarter of the entire circumference. So at this point, all we have to do is find a quarter of the circumference. Yes, because it's 90, yeah, a quarter of 360 is 90. This is a 90-degree angle right here. So therefore, we take our circumference, and we're just going to divide by 4. So 16 pi, I'm using a new color, divided by 4 is 4 pi. So that's the arc length. It's 4 pi. If we wanted to find the area of the sector, it's the same deal. This is 1/4 of the circle. Question, boss. Shouldn't the arc measure 90 degrees? Because the arc is equal to its central angle, or I'm confusing stuff. Okay, the measure... Okay, so there's a difference between the arc length and the measure of the arc in degrees. Because yes, this is 90 degrees as an angle measure, but if you actually calculate the absolute length of it, the arc length, it's going to be 4 pi. Is that the proper... Are you right-handed? No, I'm left-handed. It looks like I'm right because everything's backward, but I'm actually a lefty. I'm the only lefty in this group. They look like they're left-handed, but they're actually right-handed. Understood, boss. Excellent.
Who's saying boss?
Encryption XYZ.
Nice.
Okay, so the area is also going to be 1/4 of the circle. So take 64 pi, divide it by 4, and we get 16 pi. So the area is 16 pi. Now, this was kind of a softball that I lobbed at you, and you're a very small child who's got a very large bat. You're going to hit this thing. What if I changed it up so that the angle was something wild? We're talking like the most crazy angle you've ever heard of. Something like 22 degrees. 22 degrees. The radius is going to now be, oh, I don't know, 7. And I want you to find both the arc length, we're going to call that L, and I want you to find the area of the sector in blue. I'm just going to, here we go, yeah, right there. Okay, I suppose 22 degrees now looks very hard to read. I shouldn't have done that. I regret that immensely. Pull back a little bit. Okay. 22 degrees. Okay. The same thing that allowed us to figure out what this is going to be is going to allow us to figure out what these two measures are going to be, which is the fraction that your central angle is over 360 will be the same fraction that your arc length is over the entire circumference will be the same fraction that your sector area will be over the entire circle area, okay? The general form here, we're going to make a proportion. It's going to be part over whole, and the important one to start with is always going to be angle over 360. Angle over 360 will be proportional to the arc length over the circumference. Circumference. I'm always writing on a diagonal. Jeez. And that'll also be proportional to the sector area over the whole area of the circle. Okay? So, you know, don't do them all at the same time. You can't set, I mean, you could set 3 things equal to each other if you wanted to, but it's going to be messy. Don't do that. Let's just start with the arc length. So, our angle measure is 22. I'm going to say, I'll do it over here. No, I'm going to get rid of this first. Get rid of this. Make sure always to remember the equations for area and circumference. Load them into your calculator in a program if you can't remember. So your calculator will remember for you. You're allowed to do that. You will be amazed at what you're allowed to do with your calculator. As long as you don't have a prohibited kind of calculator, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Yes, chord problems. Absolutely. Yes. Chord problems. I'll give you a chord problem. The F chord is very, very difficult on my fingers.
You want me to do vectors?
Sure. No, we'll talk about chords. I swear. I once had my calculator wiped before a test. Before a school classroom test by your teacher, or before an ACT by a proctor. Because they're not allowed to wipe it. The rule is you can't have programs longer than 25 lines. ACT test. Interesting. You are the first person that I have heard from that has had that happen. I would say go into it assuming that the person's not going to do it, unless you end up with that same exact person. Most of the time, you will end up with... Hold on. I haven't done this yet.
Oh.
We were still doing that problem.
I thought you had moved on.
No. I was getting rid of this stuff. Okay. The radius was 7. The arc length was 22 degrees.
Sorry.
Do you guys know if the ACT online prep is any good? What is the ACT online prep?
The official stuff?
Okay. Angle over 360 is going to be 22 over... We'll just do this one part real quick. We're going to find the arc length. 22 over 360 will be equal to the arc length L over the entire circumference, which is 2 pi r. It's going to be 2 times pi times 7, which is going to be 14 pi. At this point, whenever you have a proportion, you just cross multiply and solve for the variable. So we have 360 times L is equal to 22 times 14 pi. 20 times 14 pi will be 280 pi plus 28. So I think it's going to be 308 pi. I want to check that. Yeah, there are no bonus points for doing problems in your head. Your calculator is supposed to be there to speed things up. So even though there are things that you can do in your head, if you can do them faster in your calculator, that is what you want to do. Okay? And then you just, we have 360 times L is equal to 308 pi. Divide everything by 360. And you're going to get L is equal to, these are both even, that'll be 154 over 154 over 180 pi. They're still both even. I love simplifying fractions. That's going to be 75, 76, 77 over 90 pi. That's your arc length right there. Yes. Why does it matter if your calculator is wiped? If you have cool programs on there that let you do things faster, then it does matter, because it might be that you haven't memorized those formulas for yourself. I try to stay safe and have them on your calculator, but also have them memorized. But again, you're the first person I've ever heard of that had their calculator wiped by a proctor that actually knows what he or she is doing. Most of the time, they don't really know even how they would do that. I'm sure they heard maybe that there are rules, but they check what calculator you have. I've just never heard that they actually... Storm's question.
So, what was your question, Storm? Sorry.
Dragon Slayer, you can, or Dargon Slayer, you can look at our stream after we're done, and you can go to points that you like and take a screenshot. So, yes. Oh, or, I'm sorry. I thought you meant with our stream, like archive, because of someone asked a question about that. You're talking about your calculator. Archive everything before wipe. Because, like, I'm wiping.
Got it.
Yeah. There's a reason they call it wiping, a calculator, is because it's like...
Better than having it swiped.
Synonymous.
So you can't use it at all.
By swiper?
Huh?
Swiper, no swiping? You didn't watch
no,
TV.
No, like, someone swipes it.
Yeah. Like the...
Oh, ACT Online Prep. Yeah, it's good. The basic stuff is good. It's not super comprehensive, in my opinion, and it's decent. For sure.
Well, we could also tell them about our sponsors.
Let me check. Why don't we take a minute?
First? Okay, we will in a sec.
Mojo's got something. So we'll do vectors, asymptotes, Mojo's question.
Also, whoop indeed.
Yep.
Extremely so.
Yes.
Whoop whoop.
Okay, vectors. I also posted on Reddit, if you want to go check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
We're on Reddit. We're always on Reddit, sort of. Not really. Okay. We are going to do vectors. Vectors are pretty darn straightforward, but you just don't do them that much, and so they'll ask a question, and I think it's even less likely that you've done much of this stuff than if you've done matrices and other more esoteric concepts. Come on. So UWorld would be better. I would say try everything. Oh, you did. Very good.
Mojo's got a question.
Good.
Write this question.
Yeah, I put it on the thing. Vectors. Where should I start with vectors? How basic should I start?
What a vector is?
Yeah, okay. Vector has magnitude. Yeah. Magnitude. I'm going to go through this quickly because they're not super important. Magnitude and direction. In that order or not, because the order of them doesn't matter. That was misleading. Incredibly.
Yeah,
So a
don't
vector is
focus.
going to look like that. It'll have an arrow on one end, and it'll start somewhere, and it'll just go like that, or it'll go like that, or whatever. They don't turn or anything. They don't bend.
Usually they start up at the origin. They don't have
Yes.
to.
They don't have to, no. So it doesn't really matter where they are put. So this vector is the same exact thing as this vector. Let's just, if these two are the same magnitude and direction, it doesn't matter where on the coordinate plane you put it. They're not based on the coordinate plane. They're based on a magnitude and a direction. So they might tell you it starts at the origin, and then it goes, it'll be 30 degrees north of east or something, right? Were you doing a problem like that?
Yeah.
They'll give you the directions. 30 degrees above the x-axis or something like that going to the right. Things like that. Oh boy. Yeah, UWorld, I would say, honestly, last minute stuff, this is pretty good for last minute stuff. You can get those last little bitty questions answered, and then you can ask questions about approaches and things like that, and
Adding vectors?
whatever you want. Okay, so these are vectors, and they are written like this. They have an x and a y, and that will give you, assuming you're starting at the origin, they give you, let's say, 3. What they use I and J, they use V and W. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, sometimes. Well, V
Yeah.
would be a vector. V equals. But
Right.
yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So
You
they'll
can
do
show
something
both.
like vector equals 3i, and then negative 2j.
If they put them in that form, they won't use the letters. They'll use addition to
Oh,
that.
sorry. Yeah.
Keep going.
Okay. So this vector is, we would call it vector 3, negative 2. Or it would be 3i minus 2j, something like that. And so, I don't want to do it there. I'll draw here again. So what you do is you start your vector here, and then this gives you a direction and a magnitude just with that, because you're assuming you start at the origin. And then the first term is your x, like normal, and your second term is your y. Even here, x and y, or you could label it as I and j. It doesn't matter. But you go 3 this way, 2 this way. That is the head.
Negative 2.
Oh, yeah.
And one other thing. This doesn't give you the magnitude and direction. This gives you the x and y distances. You have to find the magnitude and direction from this.
Yeah. So this gives you your vector, and from it you can find those things. So this is where it'll give you the head and the tail of the vector. So that's the head there. Now the direction matters. It's not going that way. It's going that way. That's very important. And now if we're going to write, let's say we have another vector. Let's call it vector w, and that's going to be what do I want? I want 1, 4.
Sure.
1, 4. So 1, 4 would start here, and you go 1, and then you go up 4. So there. It's like that. So those are your two vectors, v and w. Now, if they say, what is v plus w? Algebraically, it's super easy. You just have your 3, negative 2, and you have your 1, 4, and you literally just add them together. That's all. So your result would be 4, 2. That is your resulting vector. And then you could do it visually as well. You take the tail of one of them and you put it at the head of the other and redraw it.
You got this.
Like that. So this vector, we just moved down there to start at the head of this one. And then, if you notice, that new vector is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 2. So you can do it algebraically, you can do it graphically, visually. Now, addition is easy. I want to jump to subtraction and then I want to be done.
Well, subtraction is just take the negatives of these and add them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You subtract, if you're subtracting w here instead of adding, you just subtract this whole thing and you get negative 2, negative 6. But visually it's different. Because instead of doing this garbage, you have to go head to head. So you start with the same one. You have to start, oh my gosh, with v. So we have v here. And then with w, we take it and we put it head to head. And it goes like that. Or that should have been blue. Bummer. Do you have pink still?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool.
That's an interesting way of thinking about it.
Yeah, so visually it's head to head, but you have to start with the first one, that's your positive one, and then pull it down, and that's your new vector.
I learned this as you first take the negative of this, which would be this vector
that's cool,
here,
and then you add
do
them.
Yeah, but
Yeah, that's probably easier to remember. Maybe.
I like your way as well.
Oh, that's kind of cool. You like it?
It's kind of fun. I don't know. It's
Okay,
just
okay,
fun.
okay,
It's just
okay,
fun.
okay,
That's all it is.
okay. You want to do asymptotes?
Yeah, I do. Should we
think
do the
they said-
problem on the Discord first, or is that
What, was it
because
Mojo's
it's more
question?
into- Yeah.
Let's do.
Yeah, make both components of the second vector negative. That's right.
Yes.
Improbable events. All right, let's. we gotta
Khan
come up
Academy
with some-
prep is fantastic. They don't have ACT specific prep. They only do SAT specific prep. But
It's a lot of the same concepts.
Khan Academy is so incredibly useful. It's wonderful.
We're large fans of Khan
Yeah.
Academy,
We like free things.
and it's not even one of our sponsors.
No.
Ready to talk about sponsors?
Yeah.
you
Should we
have to
talk
review?
about breakfast first?
Do you have to review first?
We should erase this first.
Well, breakfast, yes. One of our. Well, let's not dilute actual.
Yeah, that's actually what I almost did
sponsors,
yesterday.
but,
And I did.
English for SAT and AC are kind of similar, though.
Yes.
Yes.
They're basically the same.
SAT English is a little shorter of a section, and there's a couple slight differences, like sentence combination questions.
Yeah, but
and they have some graphs in there. But yeah, it's the same concepts. If you're killing one, I like Nerdish better. Scotta, stop. Just stop. Keep going. Stop. We don't want that. I'm talking about asymptotes here. Okay, so
we can actually do this.
let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
do it. Okay, so first things first.
Our sponsor. We now have a legitimate sponsor that's not us sponsoring ourselves. It's called Alta Ipsum. Alta Ipsum means in Greek, loosely translated.
Latin. Yes.
Well, Greek is translated from Latin.
It's in Latin.
Got it. So very loosely from Greek and loosely from
There was
Latin.
no Greek whatsoever.
It means summit yourself, like the picture there. Summit yourself, make yourself better. It's an online executive functioning app. It allows you to organize your schoolwork. It allows you to plan things. It allows you to track your grades. What you can do is put in an assignment for a test in the future or a term paper or
essay,
something
yeah.
like that, and it will set up a preliminary study schedule for you and say, okay, well, it's 2 weeks away, so study these 3 days, and then you can customize that as well. It's really good, and
Yeah, what did you say? It's Grade Tracker?
yes,
Yes.
tracking too.
And the way that it could possibly help you with us is ACT and SAT prep is something that you need to do regularly if you're going to really, really improve, including watching us. So you could make your own Nerdish tab on your Alta Ipsum account. Make it purple, maybe, because we like purple and our shirts are purple.
You have to make it purple.
And that way you can keep yourself on schedule to improve. Last thing is that you get the first month free, so you can just check it out. There's no cost to checking it out and seeing if it's for you. And we think it's really cool. Okay, is it free though? First month is free. First month. Whoa!
You know what they say about the first month?
Yes. Asymptotes is what they say. Is it free though? Oh, cool. Extremely so. Yeah, we think it's very cool. So an asymptote is a line that your function cannot cross. A vertical asymptote, we usually draw them as dotted lines. They don't actually exist, but their effect is very significant. So here's an example. X comma y. You might have some function that looks like this. We'll say, whoa, and then maybe, whoa, okay? Not enough UEs in the QEs behind Q. Yeah, you're right. I don't know why we have less than normal. UE. Not currently a linker code for Nerdish because it is free the first month. That is your link/code. An asymptote. This line cannot actually go through the asymptote. As you get closer, it starts going up and it heads towards infinity. Never actually gets there. Good luck trying to get to infinity. But this basically blocks it. That's a vertical asymptote. A horizontal asymptote, actually this one pretty much has one, is very similar, except in the horizontal direction. Now you can actually cross horizontal asymptotes. Sometimes you do. You can't cross vertical asymptotes, but you can cross horizontal asymptotes. So here's an example. Litotes. Litotes? Yeah, litotes. There's also oblique and slant asymptotes. let's see. Let's say that you had two different vertical asymptotes. You might have something that looks like this. New marker, new color.
Totally. I like it.
You
Wait,
might
where
have-
do you get litotes from?
What do they say?
You're missing Scada right now.
It says litotes on storms. Totally, yeah.
Very nice, Scada.
Yes. So as you can tell, this line just blasted through the horizontal asymptote. That's because horizontal asymptotes really apply for your end behavior. As your function goes super far to the left and right, it approaches this level, this value. So it doesn't really matter that it's crossing it right in the middle because it's really when it gets super far away. But vertical asymptotes you can't actually cross. What they're caused by in a rational function. What is litotes? Do we know what that is yet? You see
Nope.
Storm?
I don't know what it means.
Okay, I'm not making it up, am I? So we have a function that looks like this. We're going to say x plus 3 over 2x, no, 2x plus 3 over x minus 7. So your vertical asymptote is caused by dividing by 0. You cannot divide by 0. There will be an x value that will make this function divided by 0, and that's not good, that's undefined. Whatever makes your bottom 0 will be your vertical asymptote. That is the x that you cannot have. The closer and closer you get to dividing by 0, the larger your quotient becomes, hence the graph shooting up towards infinity. Litotes is a literary term. Is it now?
You can look it up.
Levi's going to look at that up.
Probably
See what
should.
that is. Maybe it's litotes.
Ironic understatement in which affirmative is expressed by negative of its contrary.
Oh. I've never... Because I thought asymptotes, something like that. Interesting. How to eliminate silly mistakes can apply to any section. Bob Jamero, there's a couple things you could do for that. Number one, if you finish a section early, do not sit there and twiddle your fingers. Go back and look at everything. Next thing, as you're reading questions, it's a good idea to maybe underline key parts of the questions. It doesn't take that long, and it keeps you anchored to what you're doing. It doesn't let you daydream while you're reading these questions. Silly mistakes. It's really hard. You know, there's an infinite number of silly mistakes you can make, especially on math. And a lot of times they have answers that reflect the common mistakes that kids make. You have to, I mean, what I think of is I have like an ongoing dialogue with myself when I take a test. I'm saying the question to myself, maybe whispering it or saying it in my head, and I'm narrating the things that I'm doing. And I'm trying to say to myself, you know, okay, so 2 plus 7 is 9. If you say something and you hear that it's wrong, you might visually write, you know, okay, so let's see, 2 plus 7 is equal to 8, and you're like, wait a second, I just heard myself say 2 plus 7 is equal to 8. That's clearly not true. Narration helps me. It might be able to help you. Other ways to avoid silly mistakes. What do you think, Levi?
Taking the same approach every time. So every single question on English should be, you check the answer choices first, and you see what am I being tested on. And then you tackle those things specifically, tackling the easiest stuff first. So if you see a semicolon, start with that. If you see a period, start with that, which means independent clauses. Commas are hard. Do those last, or within each question. So you take the same approach every time, identifying the question type, recognizing what you're supposed to do, doing that thing, eliminating 3 wrong answers. That works on the English. On the math, try to identify the question type if it's that type of thing. Throw math at it that seems to be related. And then between we've talked about this a little bit, and it's been all over Discord, I think, recently. What to do between sections, night before, that type of thing. Between sections, if you are very physically active, it will help you with everything, including simple mistakes. So when you have that break that you have between, what is it, right after math, right?
Yeah.
Right after the math section, you have that 10-minute break. You should get out of your chair, and you should be as physical as possible. When I took the SAT, I ran down the hallway with my friend, which looked dumb, but, you know, now we're here in this black box.
Yeah, but your reputation was broken ever since then.
It was totally
It was
ruined.
soiled.
Yeah. But then I brought it back up by speaking with perfect grammar and texting with perfect grammar.
He does
Yeah.
do both of those things.
Yep. So, be very physical, get your blood moving, allow your brain to do other things aside from thinking really hard, and it will seriously help you. Because your brain does not like sitting in a chair and being unhappy and doing English, math, reading, science all at once under pressure. Doesn't like it.
Yeah. Okay, so anything else?
No, are you still doing asymptotes?
Yeah.
Ooh, my gosh.
Yes. So the horizontal asymptote, which was what was actually asked about, is you want to think about what's going to happen when x gets very large, when x approaches infinity. So let's start with this one. As x gets very large, the terms that stop mattering are the 3 and the -7, because x being infinity, or just like a bajillion, make these numbers no longer count. So what this means is that this function approaches 2x over x, and that's simplified to 2. Your horizontal asymptote, therefore, is going to be 2. So we're going to draw that right there. This rational function is going to look something like this. Woo, and then a little bit like this. If it is bottom heavy, and you think about x getting very large, this is 5 over infinity, which is going to approach 0. So your y value of that horizontal asymptote would be y equals 0. And then if it is top heavy like this, and you think about your x value is getting very large, this is actually not going to have a horizontal asymptote. This is going to simplify to x cubed over 3x. The x's will cancel, giving you x squared over 3, or just x squared. That's going to give you actually a parabolic asymptote. Yeah, it's called an oblique asymptote. It's where it's not horizontal. There's only going to be one question maybe about these, so we're not going to spend too much horizontal slant asymptotes. Well, mojo, horizontal asymptotes and slant asymptotes are two different things. When you actually do the division and you get, you would get a slant asymptote in this case. You'd get a horizontal, a parabolic asymptote. Here's one where you'd get a slant asymptote. If you had something like x squared plus 5x plus 6 over x minus 4, you'd actually have to do the division here. You could think about what would happen as x gets very large, and this is going to turn eventually into x squared over x, which simplifies to x. So roughly your slant or oblique asymptote will be diagonal. It's going to look like this function here, which is an oblique asymptote like that. However, you actually have to do the division to figure out if it's going to be like x plus 2 or x minus 3 or something like that. Again, not something they're going to look at if for anything else, just potentially one question. Is there polynomial along division?
I have never seen a problem where you have to do that. Absolutely have to do that.
Yeah.
But yes, there are things that can help. I've seen it more on the SAT, though.
It's more on the SAT, that's true.
Yeah. But yes, it can be on there. I wouldn't sweat that, though. If you don't know how to do long division, I seriously recommend checking it out.
Now is not the time to learn.
I would say no, but like it can cut into their sleep.
Yeah. Well, oh, so you should do it.
Well, yeah, if they're trying to get worse scores.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry about missing that. I'm not used to that thing. So here, what we have is a circle, or sorry, we don't really have a circle. We have these two lines that intersect at this point, whatever, and then we have that this whole thing here. So from this whole thing here is x degrees, and this is y degrees, and we're also given that x equals 4y, and we want to know what y equals. Very nice. Okay. To do this, let's do the recognition thing. Also, Bob, we will get to that question about reading, recognizing stuff. Here, we have a problem, right? Because the y is inside the x, so we can't really compare them because we don't know exactly, what that distance is that it's taking up of the x. We know that these two are equal, and I'm just doing. And also, should you seriously consider it cannot be determined? Yeah, definitely always consider cannot be determined, but don't start there because there's no real way to eliminate that answer. Oh my goodness.
What?
Jay Shaw.
Jay Shaw? Got it.
Yeah.
Jay Shaw.
Yes, we're live. Yeah. Well done, Jay Shaw. 7154. Well done. Yeah.
Thank you. Gamer 278. Gamer 72. Oh my gosh. Gamer 278. Yes, we are live. Hello. You should ask questions.
Wait, are we live? Oh my god.
Yes, we are.
We've been live this entire time?
We've been live this entire time.
I'm sorry, I gotta process.
Take a seat, Bird. We are very, very live right now. Also, we have never worked with Khan. He's contacted us many times.
Contacted us.
Yes, he has contacted us. Thank you for the follow, Jaysha. In interesting order of those things. But a good one, nonetheless. Contacted. Okay. 22 people. Yeah, we've had some bigger days, for sure. But
Keep
yeah,
going, keep
nobody knows that we're doing this most of the time. We also aren't doing this just to cram. This just happens to be the night before the SAT, so we're doing it. But Sunday to Thursday night, 8 to 9:30 p.m. is our normal time. Tonight we're going until 10:30 p.m. because the ACT is tomorrow. Okay, this question. Mojo, we're going to throw math at it like we said before. We're not going to do trig. It doesn't seem to have anything to base trig on. I would say this is all angles. And maybe something to do with 360. We know that x is between 180 and 360. They gave us that actually, so I'll write that in. 180 is less than x, which is less than 360. Is Q? Yes, it is super ironically misspelled. We hope you like it. Whoa, you're streaming what?
How long? Till 10:30 p.m. EST. So we started at 8, and we're going to 10:30.
Thank you for the follow. Cadith Grenade.
Keep going.
Cade the Grenade. Got it. That makes more sense. Yeah. Y equals 1/4 x. What did I write?
True. X
Yes,
equals
it does.
4y. That's
Yeah.
something.
Good. So you're throwing math at it. That's good. Thank you for the tip. We appreciate it.
Hey!
Lovely. Where's Brendan? Brendan's not here. Brendan's doing Brendan stuff.
He's an important Brendan personal life business.
Yes, you can ask him about it. Thank you for the follow, Bofa.
Bofa. Very good.
Let's get back to this. We're going to throw math at this. The only thing I can think of doing was actually the first thing. These two angles are the same, so maybe that'll help us figure out what y is, but it doesn't because we still don't know what x is. But we do know that y, this vertical angle over here, is also y. And that is the major leap that you have to make in this problem, because then you can say, well, this whole thing plus this thing will equal 360 degrees.
Guys,
Yes.
they're not asking what y equals in terms of x. The answers are actual degree measures. I'll write them out. Keep going.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for the follow, Gamer278. Ooh, we can do semicolons. Yeah. Is there something else before that we need to do? I feel like there's
Vertex.
something, but like before that. Even.
No.
No? Okay. Cool. Vertex of what? Anyway, we'll get to that. So if this is x and this is y, then we can say that x plus y equals 360. Now, that doesn't help us solve y by itself, but we do know that x equals 4y.
Substitution.
Substitution, my lord.
Substitution.
You have a question. You think you asked a question in the Discord. Okay, can you check on Bob Jammer asking a question?
Yeah, looking.
Okay. So here, we're going to do substitution. If you want to ask about systems of equations, we can do that, but we're going to substitute 4y for x, so we get 4y plus y equals 360, and then 5y equals 360, so y equals 360 divided by 5. What is that? 60,
36
72,
times 10
72.
divided by 72, exactly.
Y equals 72. What do you all mean by test? Do y'all take the SAT and ACT exams for fun? Yeah, we take it for fun. I just got access to a new ACT, and I'm super pumped to take it.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's so big. Darkin Slayer, 2x plus 2y.
Sorry, the answer is 72.
Yeah, 72. No, coming from x equals 4y and knowing that the two of them together make 360, he created a system of equations there where it's 4x. I'm sorry, y equals 4x.
X equals 4y, and then
4y plus y.
yeah.
4y plus y. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. I should have moved. Sorry. Meant to move out of the way at the end of that one for you, Mojo. You got vertices?
Yeah, I got vertices. Yeah, the person that asked for vertices was like bro something. So from a while back. If you're
Bob
still
Demaro?
here, no, not Bob tomorrow. If you're still here, let us know. Do you mean like vertex of a parabola? Because we should talk about that. And then Bob Jamaro, I'm not seeing your question. You want to put it in under questions for stream on the Discord?
I think somebody's been posting for Bob recently. I don't know who, because I've seen like question for Bob, but yeah, I didn't see anything.
Yeah, see Bob Jamaro if you made sure you did that. Isn't there a bunch of... Yes, but there is a new one that is a very recent one. And the more recent ones you get, the closer you get to the source. And that stuff right at the source is so good. Should you retype? Yeah, try it again.
Oh, did you ask it in the... Oh, sorry. Now I do remember your question. I'm sorry, Bob. Yeah, I want to do this real quick. It was just about the reading section. So, about finding those answer choices quickly. It's in the reading of the passage that you need to do it quickly. The question itself is going to be hard. So those detail-oriented questions, you can't just do it right then because they didn't give you a place to go aside from whatever little clue is in the question. You have to, when you read it the first time, you need to identify where things are happening. So you have to map out the passage for yourself, and then you'll know, okay, well, the narrator talked about, did a flashback to her childhood in this section. So, and this is talking about her best friend in 5th grade. That's what it's asking about in the question. So I have to go to that section. You read it there. Or you can do what Brady does, which is he goes to the questions first, and he just checks the ones that have the line numbers in them and puts them in before he reads, so he knows to pay more attention during those line numbers. But the ones that are just a straight up detail question and you don't know where to go, you have to do it when you read it the first time. You have to locate things and know roughly where you should guess to read quickly. If there's a detail question and you read it real quick and you say, I have no idea where that is, skip it. There's no point in reading everything to find it. Hopefully you can find it as you do the other 9 questions in the passage, or for the passage, and then you can come back to it. Hopefully you found it.
Very good. Okay, so for whoever asked about vertices, or vertex plural, if you're still here, let us know. I'll very quickly go through one quick vertex thing. What you're probably thinking of is the vertex of a parabola. And a little review, that is the point that is the lowest or the highest, depending on if it's an upward or downward facing parabola. The way that you do that is you start with the parabola, or the quadratic in standard form, which is ax squared plus bx plus c, and the x-coordinate of the vertex. The x-coordinate of the vertex has a very specific formula, which is minus b over 2a. Minus b over 2a. Mario 3, we actually did standard deviation a little bit earlier in the stream, so when we're done, you can go watch that. That was like probably 20-30 minutes in, something like that.
Which is this, sorry?
Matrix, standard deviation. But we can also talk about matrix discriminants. That'll be a new one. Yeah, so just check out standard deviation from a little bit earlier.
Yeah, if you, who was that, Mario? Yeah, Mario. Look for me drawing some little bar graphs here. That's what I would look for. That's when we were talking about it.
Yeah. So in this case, for this parabola, if we're going to find the vertex here, we have to do minus b over 2a. Our b value is 5, so we're going to do minus 5 minus phi over 2 times our a value, which is 1. So this is going to be minus 5 halves, or negative 2.5. That will be the x-coordinate of our vertex. It will not be the y-coordinate of our vertex, though. The way to find that, just me or I can't rewind. Can they rewind while they're watching this?
You cannot rewind, but if you're on Twitch, go to the videos tab, and then you will see the video that's being done, and it has a weird question mark, I think, on it. Click that, and you can see it there, but you can't rewind this live screen.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we can rewind for them. No, so
standard. Okay.
Done with that. We try to have fun. Anyway, there's no formula for the y-coordinate of a vertex, or if there is, there would be, but it'd be very complicated. You just plug in the x-coordinate back into the equation, and that'll get you the y formula, y-coordinate. So, and also, if you guys don't know how to store a number into your calculator as x and then use that x value, let us know, because that is a very, very helpful thing you can do in your calculator. So let us know, and we will tell you how to do that. So that's going to be negative 2.5 store x, and then I'll just write out this. X squared plus 5x plus 6. And that's going to give us negative 0.25. So that's going to be negative 0.25. So minus 2.5, negative 2.5, negative 0.25 is going to be right around there. Our x-coordinates are negative 2 and negative 3. So that's kind of what the parabola is going to look like. Okay. Let's see what we got here. Big thanks. Big thanks. You guys saved me for November SAT. Oh, Dargon.
Who's that? Oh.
Dargon Slayer. Have you actually slayed any Dargons? If so, let us know. I would say
Isn't Dargon an element?
Dargon. Yeah, actually, I think it's like a dragon made out of argon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very noble creature. Whoa! See what I did there?
Woo!
Oh God.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this on a Friday night, as opposed to socializing and things like that.
We're socializing with each other.
Semicolons and discriminants, and all of these
I will do it.
students. Yes, go ahead. Handle semicolons. Although, I did talk about semicolons earlier. I mean, it'll take you a second. But go ahead.
Yeah, I'll do it real quick. Okay, semicolons, there's only one use on the test. Only one, okay? And it is to separate two independent clauses. So if you can use a semicolon, you can use a period and vice versa. Independent clauses are subject and verb. If you want...
They're standalone complete sentences.
Yes. They're subject, verb, they can be a complete sentence. You need two of them to be able to use a semicolon on the test. If you see a semicolon, they are the most straightforward of the punctuations because that's the only use of them. Do them before you do colons, before you do commas, definitely. And then at the same time, it's periods. always, when you see punctuation, you need to identify your independent clauses in your sentences. If you're not doing that, you're just probably doing it by ear, and that's not a great call.
If you guys aren't totally solid on what independent clauses are, make sure to go look them up after this or during this and see some examples of what are independent clauses and what aren't and why they're not. There's so many different websites that explain this to you.
Yeah, also, you can maybe...
Gamer.
Yeah.
They are not on the test. They do not test that on the test. You will see that in actual writing, but on the ACT and the SAT, it's only one job. So no complex list. Don't worry. Koala GJ, we have a question on the Discord.
Oh, very nice.
And discriminants. Okay, you want to check that out?
Yeah.
Oh man, I love those ones. Okay, yeah.
Whoa.
Jaisha's got one.
Okay. Do you want me to dictate it to you, sort of?
Yeah, I was going to talk about discriminants. Do you want to do
do
discriminants
that.
first, and you want me to do this one, or vice versa?
No, why don't you do discriminants?
Okay, discriminants. They're only going to ask you about discriminants for 2x2 matrices, and they also typically give you the formula, but in case they don't give it to you, it's very simple. If you have a 2x2 matrix with elements A, B, C, D, the determinant of such a matrix is going to be AD minus BC. Jeez, this marker is not great. I'm going to... AD minus BC. That's actually okay. AD minus BC... Okay, let me get the other one. Right in the pocket. Right in the pocket. 80 minus BC. It's a position thing. Oh, that's great. It's the product of these two minus the product of these two. So if I had 1, 4, negative 2, comma 6, and I wanted to take the determinant of that, I would take the product of this first diagonal, 1 times 6, which is going to give me 6, and I'm going to subtract the other product of the other diagonal, which is going to be 4 times negative 2, which is negative 8. So I'm going to be subtracting negative 8, which would mean I'm adding 8. And that is going to give me 14. Okay, what else we got? What else? Oh, geez, I went up. This is a disaster.
Oh, wow. Okay.
How is this different from adding matrices? Well, adding matrices is where you actually have two matrices that you're adding together. This is not matrix addition. Have to equals the rows in order for a matrix to work, right? Bob Jamero, you're thinking of matrix multiplication. That's where the columns of the first matrix has to equal the rows of the second matrix. And we went into that in pretty good detail yesterday. Or is it the day before?
It was the day before. I also posted a thing. It's a problem of the day. If you go to our recorded videos, it's literally called matrix stuff or something. It's called problem of the day, I think, and it's me, and I think I'm writing in pink, and there's a matrix being made.
Yes. Problem of the day. Do I have a problem of the day on Twitch? I don't. Look at our YouTube or our Facebook. Those have problems of the day on those, and it's the most recent one that we posted earlier today. Levi does a beautiful job of explaining matrix multiplication.
It's very beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Okay. Are you done here?
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay. This seems like a really hard problem, and then you realize they're giving you too much information. So they want probability. So you have some, well, I don't know, license plate or something like that, and they want the probability that this contains JOAN. Okay? That's what they want. So they want, some digit, and then we want the letters J, O, A, and N. Oh, no, this is much harder than I thought it was. Okay. Interesting. Does it say in order? Are you reading it right now?
Okay, so you've got...
If it's not in order, then that's easy. Or if it is in order, then it's easy.
It's got a container name. It's got to have Joan, so it's got to be in order.
So Joan's got to be there. Are we technically at work right now? Yeah, I mean, we're not being paid, so... No?
Yeah, by the way, you guys go on our Discord. Instructions to link to it are below our player. And you can actually pull up these questions yourself to look at what other people are asking and then follow along.
Okay. So this is one thing that I want to point out. They say that we need 2 digits, and then we need 4 letters, and then 2 digits. And these can repeat. So we can have 1, 1, and 6, 7, or something like that. But here, we can't do A. You have to do A, B, X, N, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, what that means is if we're looking for Joanne, or Joan, I never know how to say that.
Joan. It's Joan.
Joan? Okay.
Yeah.
If we're looking for that, we only care about this part.
Well,
These will...
Yes and no, because they want to
Yeah.
tell us from all the passwords possible, how many of them contain Joan.
Is it how many?
Yes.
It's not.
Well, sorry, what's the probability of selecting one that contains Joan?
Right. So no matter what happens here, like these are all going to be on the top and the bottom.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay.
It's like a two-stepper.
Yeah. So let's focus on this in the middle here. So we want JOAN, which means that we need the letter J somewhere in here.
It has to have her name, Joan.
Yeah. Does it have to be in order?
I think it does.
Oh, does it have? Okay, then that makes it easy.
Yeah.
Can we just double check that? Otherwise, I'm going to do.
The password contains her name, Joan.
Oh, okay. So we need this. That makes it. I thought it was you just need the letters somewhere, like
No.
O, J, N, A or something. Okay. So if we need this, what's the likelihood that? I mean, we can do this two ways. Do you want me to do it in probability way first, or just all the ways we can do it divided by all the ways we can do it?
We have to probably do. We should probably talk about both.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want to
So
start?
let's do desired. So we want Joan, which means there's one way to do this, and then we have 10 possible digits here and here and here and here because we can repeat. That's what they told us. So that means this is exactly one way in the middle. So we have 10 times 10 times 1 times 10 times 10. And then we're dividing by all the possible ways.
Yeah, we'll start with that.
So that's the desired. We want anything, it doesn't matter, because it's still going to make us happy with Joan in the middle. So 10 to the 4th divided by all the possible ways. These stay the same as tens, but now we have, instead of Joan, we have 26 ways, 26 ways, 26 ways,
The letters can't repeat.
and 20. Okay. So 26, 25, 24, 23. What's going to be for dinner? We've already had dinner. Did you have dinner?
I had dinner.
I need to have like a spoon of peanut butter. I'm pretty hungry.
Yeah.
There you go, Mojo.
Well, hold on. We're
Oh no,
counting
sorry,
down.
not that. So we're counting down because we cannot repeat,
Yeah.
which is where factorial is coming from normally. So we have 26 times 25 times 24 times 23 on the bottom. So we have 10 to the 4th raised to, or times 26 times 24 times 25 times 23. So 10 to the 4ths cancel out.
Well, they leave
If-
it. They leave
oh,
it
they do.
form. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Exactly. Yeah. So J-Shot, does that make sense? There's 10 to the 4th possibilities of passwords that have Joan in them, and then there's this number of total passwords possible that you could make. And probability is usually expressed as desired outcomes over total outcomes. And there's this many desired outcomes. There's this many total outcomes.
Thank you for the follow, by the way, the real BMO.
You went up.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. I did the same thing earlier. Okay. Why is there 10 to the 24? Oh, that's the total. Yes, exactly. Yeah, they would cancel 10 to the 24th in the bottle. Yeah, I think she understands.
Yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah. The other way to do it is to say, well, I don't care about this stuff because it's going to happen or it's not going to happen. It just doesn't make a difference because all I'm worried about is the Joan in the middle, which means I can only have one way and there are this many ways to do it. All this other stuff I know is going to cancel out contextually because why would I care what's on the outside? Because it's going to, I desire it or I don't, it's possible, it just doesn't matter. So you end up there.
Yeah, you end up with that, which is not an answer, but it's equivalent to this answer. Levi just did it, and he bypassed the cancellation that he knew was going to happen. There's only one answer that's equivalent to this anyway, which is the one with the 10 to the 4ths. I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
shall we move on? You did discriminants. We
Yeah, I
did
did.
this. Is
Yeah.
there another question on the Discord?
Let's see. Not yet. Not
Okay,
yet.
so for those of you who are new, you can ask questions in the Discord. Can somebody link the Discord real quick so that people on Twitch can do it? English strat. Yeah, what kind of English stats you want, Mojo?
The good ones?
Yeah, well, I can give them the wrong ones. That works.
What kind of questions do you normally get wrong, Mojo? And if you know that is a huge start for us.
Thanks for the Discord links, everybody.
Timing.
And then for those of you on YouTube and Facebook, the Discord link should be in the description. You can follow it there, and then you can join our Discord, ask questions there. It's, you just, I don't even know if you need an email necessarily. Probably do.
Maybe.
But maybe not. Make up a name, ask some
Thomas.
questions.
How you type each passage. Yes. Okay, we're talking about the English section here, not reading. Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Because reading is typically harder to finish, but English can be hard to finish too. Levi and I have different strategies that work for each of us. I'll start with what I do on English. Let's see.
What do you do in English that's different from
Good and bad. Comma. let's see. So commas, joke timing. No, not timing. Okay. Have you gone over all the uses of commas?
Yeah.
Today?
Oh, no, not today.
I think that probably
No.
would be a good thing.
Okay.
Because one of the things that Mojo asks is commas.
Yeah, well, I talked to Mojo about that, the comments.
Oh,
But
okay.
we can do it again, depending on...
Yeah, hey guys, so commas are some of the most mistaken uses of punctuation on the test. If you guys have trouble with commas and don't know exactly what the 4 ways are that you might see them, let us know and we'll start talking about them. So the way that I usually do the English section is, I mean, you've got a passage and you've got underlined parts of it they want you to correct, and then next to those parts, they always have the question that's connected to that underlined portion. Honestly, I just start reading, and as soon as I get to an underlined part and I read that part, I do that question. So I don't feel like I have to. Yes, do commas. Yeah, we want to do commas. I don't feel like I have to skim. You might feel like you have to skim though. The only problem with that is like most questions are very nuts and bolts usage and mechanics questions. So you can look at a single sentence and figure out if a comma works in that sentence or not. You don't need to have the context of, as a whole, of the entire passage. But there are some questions that ask you for the main idea, not necessarily for the main idea, but they ask you like, which one of these sentences would conclude the essay by restating the main idea, or things like that. Those questions you do kind of need to understand the flow of the entire piece and what it's about. So because of that, I think it is a little advantageous to read the whole thing while you're doing the questions. Yeah. Don't read the entire thing and then start working on the questions. As soon as you get to, you know, a question area where it's underlined, do that question. Once you have that done, keep going. Do the next one. I think if you're running out of time, you're probably spending too much time on certain questions. And just remember, if there are questions you're not getting to, there's probably some easy ones in there that wouldn't have taken you that long. There's no bonus points for getting really hard questions right. So all you're really worried about is getting as many questions right as possible in the time that you have. If you have questions that you look at and you're like, oh geez, like I could put a lot of time into this and I might get it right, that's not a good use of your time. Take your best guess, keep going, and then if you have time later, you'll go back to it. But you're trying to get as many low-hanging fruit off the tree as you can while you're going through this.
Yes.
Okay, are grad school entrance exams considered super SATs, ACTs?
The GRE, yeah, is
GRE is kind of like
comparable.
that. But the
It's
other
a
ones
hard
are, LSAT's a totally different test. MCAT,
It's such a cool test.
It is a cool test. Yeah, MCAT is you gotta study forever to get a good grade on that. And then there's the, what's the other one? The GMAT for business school. I guess GMAT would be, I actually haven't looked at the GMAT, so I'm not sure.
We would fail that, seeing as we're doing this for free.
Hey. That happens.
Okay, you don't have anything, right?
I have nothing.
Okay, so this is, I forget whose question this is, but J, K, L, and M. So those are our points that we're dealing with.
Mojo, you got it. It's on the house.
It is on the house. Point K is between J and L. Okay, so that's good to know. Well, I've already written that.
Oh,
So,
someone asked for commas.
oh, that's right.
Yeah.
We got to do all comma stuff. Okay, we're gonna jump through. Can you possibly find it in yesterday's video, because we did it in yesterday's video?
Yeah, and tell them what time
Yeah,
it took
just
place?
locate it. 4-finger swipe to the left,
Okay.
or maybe
This
the other
is
left.
another quali question, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let me know. Okay, so we're going to do the commas thing, but hopefully we can just link you to our video from yesterday, because it takes a little while. And then you can watch that and then come back and ask clarification questions if you would like. Okay, now this one, come on. We have J, K, L, and M. We know that K is between L and M. No, K is between J and L. Yeah, so we have that, and I'm not sure where M is. It could be anywhere here. If M is between points J and L, okay, so we're saying that we have J, we have K, we have L, and then M is either going to go here. I guess it could be the same point, but probably not. So I'm going to erase that, actually. So now we know M is also between J and L, such that JM, okay, so JM plus MK plus KL equals JL. Okay, and I haven't even gotten to the true-false stuff yet. JM plus MK plus KL equals JL. So this actually gives us the order here. J to M, M to K, K to L would give us JL entirely, so that means M goes here.
Does that make sense to everybody? Or more importantly, whoever asked this question, Koala. Does that make sense?
Levi.
Yes.
16 minutes in yesterday's video.
Well, you can. Okay. Do you want to continue this question for me then?
Sure.
Or I can. Do you know how to link that specifically in the? Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean I do. Yeah, that's fine.
Or not even in the Discord, but if you go to share yesterday's video at that and have this scrubber at that point, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Don't mean to make it look like you don't know how to do that.
No, I can do that.
What time will the ACT end? What? I don't know what that means, to be honest.
What time of day?
Yeah, like it's a 3-hour-ish test, and if you're asking about, yeah.
They usually get started around 9:30. You have to get there at 8.
If you're one of the earlier people, generally well, it depends on the proctoring place too. Okay, so this is our order right here. So I'm going to write this again over here. J, M, K, L. Point, 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 point. Now, we don't know the distances between those points. We just know that they are in this relationship to each other. So, here are our choices.
I'm putting this in the Discord or on the chat?
No, I think put it in the chat and link it to whoever asked that, although I don't know who it was. K is between M and L. K between... I'm not even... yeah. M and L. Is that true? Is K between M and L? Yes, it is. So, that's true. That's easy. M is between K and L. Well, no, that's the opposite, or not the opposite, but one of these. M is between K and L. M is not between K and L, so that's not true. And then JM, oh no, there are 3, there are 4, sorry. JM equals MK. I don't like this immediately, because how do we know? We don't know any distances here. So they're saying JM equals MK. We do not know that. They've told us no distances. They've only told us relationship things. 45. Oh, yes. Okay. Okay, so I don't like number 3 because it just deals with things like that. And then JM equals KL. Again, it's a distance thing, and that's not how you do Roman numeral 4. The Roman numeral system is foolish.
It worked for the Romans pretty well. Well, it didn't.
It didn't. They fell apart because of their...
numerals.
Yeah. So that doesn't work either. Now I'm just going to make sure I didn't miss anything in the question. Yeah, okay. Yep. So there's nothing here that tells you about the distance between things. So the answer would just be only Roman numeral 1 is correct. Any questions on that? We talked about commas. Yes. Oh, thank you.
Bofa, I think it was you that wanted to talk about commas. So I just linked you. Well, I'm not sure it actually linked him properly.
Oh, we should.
Chords. That's right. Chords. Oh God. I'm sorry. I made a joke about chords and I forgot to actually put chords on the list.
I can erase this if you want to start on chords.
Sure.
Who was the person who asked about the commas?
Bofa was. Yes, it works. Fantastic. Fantastic. I was just afraid when I said at Bofa. I don't know if that usually gets highlighted or something, but whatever. Whatever. Ugh, jeez. Okay, so we're talking about chords. That's what we're talking about today. And chords are lines on circles that do not go through the circle's center, that connect with 2 points on the circle itself. Okay, so like something like this. If you look at yourself and you say, hey, I touch 2 points on the circle, but I do not go through the center of the circle, then you are a chord. That is what you are. Simply deal with it. Inscribed angles. Yeah, we can talk about that. Okay, so inscribed angles. Here's the important thing for chord questions. A lot of times the leap that you have to make is drawing yourself a radius in the proper place. So they might ask you something like this. Okay. So, sorry. First things.
Did that help?
Yeah, no, it did. I felt like I'd back up. No. I was leaning in.
Oh.
Can you get the Discord? Yeah, Mario. It's underneath the player. There's a link that you can find. Oh,
thank you,
just
Mojo.
gave it to you. Absolutely.
What?
63 English your test. You want to go find that?
Yes.
Okay. If the diameter, or a radius, if a radius intersects a chord halfway, so it bisects a chord, then that is proof that it intersects it at a right angle, that these lines are perpendicular, okay? If the radius does not bisect it and does it over there or something like that, obviously this angle's not perpendicular. So if they ever say that, you know, a chord has two equal sections and then a radius goes right through it, then you know that it bisects the chord. You know that it's a perpendicular line to that chord. And let's say that the radius of this circle is 6 and that these... No, I'm going to change this. Let's say that the radius is 5. We'll say that the radius is 5 and that these right here are 4. Those two are 4. Maybe they'd say that the chord length is 8. So the first thing I would do is say, okay, well then if it cuts it in half and these both are 4, and the question might be, what is the distance from the center of the circle to the intersection point? What is this distance right here? What you have to do here is draw yourself a radius at any place that would make your geometry a little more convenient. Any place that you can draw a radius from the center to the outside of a circle will have a length 5. Because that's what the radius means. So here is going to be where you want to draw your radius. That's going to make things really, really helpful, because then you see, we zoom in here, we have a right triangle. We have 5 as the hypotenuse, 4 is one of the legs, and so 3 must be the other leg length. Because of a 3, 4, 5 triangle, it's one of those Pythagorean triplets. If you didn't know that, you can just use Pythagorean theorem to figure that out. Where you say a squared plus 4 squared is equal to 5 squared. So a squared is 25 minus 16 is equal to 9. A squared is equal to 3. Yeah, draw yourself a radius. See if that doesn't change things around. Anything else about chords? Tangents intersect circles at right angles. They don't intersect, actually, I'm sorry. If there's like a point and then 2 tangents are drawn or something like that from that point, a tangent will always... make a right angle with the radius that connects at that point. Okay? That's also something. It's not really related to chords at all, but it's something.
That's super important, yeah.
It's super important. It is, for some questions. Okay, so you're doing 63 English, and they also asked about inscribed angles. So, I guess while we're on circles, I can do that very quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. An inscribed angle. If a circle exists, that's really step 1. A circle exists, so it doesn't not exist, because if it didn't exist, then this would be impossible. And you have some angle that is coming out of the center of the circle and hitting the sides of the circle. Whatever that angle measure is, let's say that this is 70, will be the same as the degree measure of your arc that it opens to. This will also be a 70-degree arc, okay? Half arc length. You're thinking of when it's inscribed on the actual edge of the circle. So if it's in the center of the circle, then it's the same. If it's the edge of the circle, it's going to be half of that. It's going to be 35 degrees. Or another way to think about that, let me get a new color. This color is boring me. I'm bored by this color. Here, we'll say this right here. If this was, let's say that's 80, this is going to be half of the length, the arc length, that it opens up to. So this is going to be 160 degrees right here. Mojo, why?
Ooh, can I explain? Because it's my fault for not explaining that before.
Yeah, go for it.
So with this, if you think about it, so the degree measure of a chord, sorry, not of a chord, of an arc, is literally the degree measure of that angle that's the central angle. Because if you think about it, this is obviously a 90-degree angle. So this arc right here is a 90-degree arc. And then if you go here, you've now created a situation where this is actually one of the math problems that's very, I think like everybody has seen this math problem before. If you were to draw in this line here, so this is 90 degrees, draw in that line, you have an isosceles triangle here. Does this even help?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's right.
Yeah. So if that's 90 degrees,
yeah.
Then how do I do this? I forget.
Then
That's
these two are going to be the same.
Yeah.
You know that, I'm sorry.
The R.
Screw that up.
Yeah.
Right there.
There we go.
So if this is like x or something like that, then these two are going to be the opposite of 360 minus x.
Yeah, well, this is 90, right? So this is going to be, right. So this,
270 divided by 2.
This is 90 here, so this is 270 divided by 2, which is 135. So if that's 135 and that's 135, and then this triangle here is an isosceles triangle, these are going to be what's left over divided by 2.
Which is going to be 45.
Which is 45. So,
No.
No.
No. It's half of 90, which is 45.
Yeah. What have we done?
90 plus 135 is not 180. Are we sure?
90 plus 270.
This is 270.
What have we done?
No, really, what have we done? This is
I don't
weird.
know.
This is going to be...
Oh, what?
This has to be total 45. So this is 22.5. This is 22.5.
That's what it is. Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
That was terrible.
We got there.
We did a terrible job
It's
there.
fine. It's fine. 22.5. Mojo.
But yes, there you go.
Because they're going to... That's going to be 45. What calculator do you have, Dargon?
I can erase this. Could you pull up the overlay for number 63 on the English?
Yes.
I was just... Ugh. We both tried to do that too quickly.
I need your mouse.
You need my mouse. There's my mouse. Don't break my mouse.
Don't break my mouse.
Shouldn't have that upside down. Okay, so now we are going to number 63 on the... Ooh, we need a lot more of this. 63 on the English section of the test down below. So we can pull up an overlay, which is kind of exciting for those of you who haven't seen it before, and exciting for us most times. Sorry about the lag if there is any when we switch these things.
There.
Okay, doing number 63. Looking at this question right away, we see... So this is the approach every time. This helps you with simple mistakes. Can you scroll down on the chat too?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Actually, I can't really see what I'm doing.
Yeah. Hui. Thank you. Sorry about this. Okay. TI 30. Nice. The approach to these English questions is to identify the question type first so you don't waste time listening to, oh, this sounds nice or whatever. So 63, we look at the answers. We don't even have to look at A. We'll look at B, C, and D. Has mattered, and matter. So this is, at least with these three, just tense, right? We're dealing with tense, which means we need to be paying attention to other verbs in this passage, especially close to this one. Anyway, there's supposedly a line limit on programs for ACT, but I don't think they check, but pretty much everything's allowed on SAT. Do you know, Braid, about calculator stuff?
Yeah, the rule is that your programs can't be more than 25 lines, but like, okay, Mojo is like the first person I've ever heard that actually had their calculator wiped because they were violating that rule. I would say in most cases, your proctor is just an old person in the community that wants to get involved in something. So they don't know how to check these things. So like, it's a rule that's not really enforced that often. So you can have programs in your calculator. There's a bunch of YouTube videos that explain how to put certain programs in your calculator. Super Tutor TV has a pretty good one on what programs you can put on your calculator and where you can get them. So I would check that out if I were you.
That's a bummer, Mojo. That makes sense. Okay, so another thing I realized is looking at A, the no change one that's actually here, we have matters. So we have matters versus matter, which is plural versus singular, which means that not only are we dealing with tense, we're dealing with subject-verb agreement. So let's see what we got here. We're going to start at the beginning of the sentence. These untruths, and then we have dashes. Okay, so this is one thing that they like to do, especially on subject-verb agreement questions. They will put a non-essential element, sometimes separated by dashes or commas or what have you. They'll put it in between the subject you care about and the verb you care about to separate those things in your mind. So when you get that, I would say eliminate that non-essential so you don't have to deal with it. Don't even think about reading it, okay? So you start with, these untruths ultimately matters very little. Okay, so that sounds really bad right away. Now, if we had that non-essential in there, it might not sound as bad so quickly. But we have untruths. That's our subject, which means that matters is singular, so I would say that, what is that? A is wrong for that reason. It needs to be plural. And I think that gets rid of has as well, because untruths has, no, that's singular conjugation again. Mojo, let me know if there's anything you're not picking up on here. So these untruths ultimately had mattered very little, or ultimately matter very little. So now we need to choose between tense. We've dealt with subject-verb agreement. We know that we're in the right plurality. Now let's figure out, do we want present tense with matter, here we go, or past tense with had mattered? Or that's not even past tense, that's, what is that called?
Past perfect.
Past perfect, right, there you go. Okay,
let's look at the other verbs here. So let's just start at the beginning, I guess. What is the word? Autobiography. Autobiography by Mary Harris Jones is riddled with factual inaccuracies. Jones even fudges her date of birth. She falsely lists May 1st, International Workers' Day, and ages herself. So that's all present tense. And then we need to keep it in present tense. We don't want to just jump into past tense. So D is the answer. Keep it in present. We did those two things. I did that very, very, very methodically. Check the answer choices, figure out what you're being tested on, and then look at those things first. If you know all this stuff, you don't really need a graphing programmable calculator. It's just kind of easy. Yeah, you don't necessarily need it. How did I get rid of A again? Real quick. Okay, so that was actually with the agreement. Our subject is untruths, which is plural. So if you can't say untruths matters. It's sometimes because we don't listen to subjects and verbs too often with very specific words, and untruths is a word that you don't listen to all that often, change it. You know that's plural, so use this trick. Use they. So if it's plural, just use they. If it's not, use it, or the people ones of those, so he or she and they. Do something like that. So they is what we're using, and if we say they matters, that sounds really bad, because in our, we have that gut feeling, and the gut feeling, if you point it at pronouns with bad verbs, it will work very well.
Dargon, what I will say is, yes, it's not totally necessary to have programs, but even for people that understand the formulas and can recite them, calculators can do them faster than you. So it might be that you need to solve for the distance between two things, and it's as easy as plugging in x1, x2, y1, y2, enter, and it'll do it for you. You can probably do that pretty quickly as well, but there's certain formulas that will just be faster on the calculator, and even though you can get certain answers right, the test is about speed, and getting, exactly, any extra time is beneficial. Right, if you can save yourself a minute for when you get to the last 10, that's another question or two right there. I mean, maybe, because those are pretty hard questions. But yeah, you want to not only get everything right, but also move through it as fast as you can. So should I get rid of the overlay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Actually,
yeah, quadratic formula is definitely one of the ones that can go way faster on the calculator. But be careful, because check your answer choices, because if your answer choices are just quadratic formula itself and not actually rounded to some number, then it's probably not faster.
It always depends.
There was something I wanted to do. Oh, yeah, I wanted to talk about comparators. So this is... No, I don't want this. I want this. The calculator does it faster than which one are we doing? Which should we use he or should we use him in this question or in this answer? Or what answer should we use for this question? Do we want he or do we want him? Mojo says him. Anybody else? You have two options, so maybe somebody else thinks he. Unfortunately for you, Mojo, it's he. This is the right answer. It's not him. Because we need to think about the two things we are comparing. We are comparing the calculator to something, and the calculator does something faster, right? So the calculator does the equation faster than he does the equation. If you say him, this is an object, right? Him is an object. He is a subject. You want to compare your two subjects. It's Brady or he, whatever. So Brady is doing the equation. The calculator is doing the equation. The calculator does the equation faster than Brady does the equation, or he does the equation. The he implies he does. If you say him, that means you're comparing now it with him. And that's not what you want. You're saying the calculator does it faster than the calculator does him. Does that difference make sense? It's because it is dropped from he does it. Yes, exactly. Yes. So the he does it or something like that is implied. You can end the sentence with this subject. Uh-oh. Do you have the mouse?
Oh, it's by the computer.
Maybe there are questions. Let me know if you do have questions. I'm about to find out if you have questions. Oh, that's good. That's very good. Sorry.
Maybe we'll get this fixed. So for checking, would you just add the verb after the pronoun? Yeah. Yeah, and think about contextually what you're comparing. If you say everything out, you want to see who's doing the equation faster. You're comparing the calculator with a person. Those two are the subjects that are doing the stuff. Now, you could compare the calculator does equation A faster than equation B. And that's fine. Another one would be, I like brownies more than her. Or she. Whoa, okay. So it's one of these two. Which one should it be here? Given the context and assuming that you're just saying normal things. Yeah, if you add on does at the end, it sounds very bad. So what would the answer be here? She, exactly. Because otherwise, so now you're comparing I to she, which is what you want. You're both thinking about liking brownies. Now, if you like brownies and you really don't like her, then you're saying, yeah, I like brownies more than I like her because she's not nice and brownies taste awesome. Things like that.
We have a math question.
We do. Very good.
Mojo is complimenting you.
Oh, what?
He said, okay, really clear and concise question and answer. He says you make a very clear question and answer.
I do. It's much easier when I come up with the question.
But way less fun.
Yeah, that's okay. Here, let's switch you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I think this is your question on Discord. And Mojo's taken pretty good advantage of this service that we offer. You guys should too. Any questions, ask us. We will do them for you live. And we'll explain it to the best of our abilities. This is on Discord. So it says, given that y varies directly as the square of x, if y equals 20 when x equals 2, what is y when x equals 3? Okay, that's a lot of stuff. Okay, so we hear this. Y varies directly.
Oh, yeah.
As the square of x. And then we say y equals 20 when x equals 2. What is y when x is 3? Okay, so when you see varies directly, what that's telling you is that there is a direct proportional relationship between two variables. Okay, what that usually looks like is this. Y is equal to kx. It's like linear form, except there's no y-intercept. It's just some constant of proportionality k between them. If it was inverse, so it would say y varies inversely, or y is inversely proportional to x, the general form of that is where you put the x on the bottom. So you have the constant proportionality on top and x on the bottom. But this is not just that. This is, it varies directly as the square of x. So when they say the square of x, what does that mean? That taking the square of a number is squaring it. So this right here means x squared. So if y is varying directly as x squared, then that means that our actual proportional formula is this. Y is equal to kx squared. So we need to use this now with the pair that they give us to find what k is. So y is 20 when x is 2. Let's try that out. We're going to plug in, let me get rid of this bottom one. So y is 20. This marker, I've had it. It is dunzo garbanzo beans, which is an expression I'm trying to make happen. 20 is equal to k times 2 squared. 20 is equal to k times 4, which is 4k. Divide everything by 4, and you get that 5 is equal to k. Fantastic. Now we know what the actual formula is. It's not just kx squared. It's y is equal to 5x squared. You can see where this is going. To find y, you just plug 3 in for x. So y is going to equal 5 times 3 squared, which is 5 times 9, which is 45. So the answer is G. How do you know where you put K? Good question. The definition of a direct variation relationship is y is equal to kx. There's two different relationships that you have to just know off the top of your head. If two variables are directly proportional to each other, that means that they're in this relationship. So if x gets 2 times bigger, y will also get 2 times bigger. That's what this relationship tells you. If it's inverse, x goes on the bottom. That makes sense. Good. Good, good, good. Very, very good. So it's almost this, except it's the square of x instead. That's it. Very good. Any other questions on the Discord, Levi?
No. That was horrifying.
Hey, don't worry about it.
Oh, I'm not worried. I'm just horrified.
I'm trying my best.
Are you
I'm
trying
very
your
nervous.
best? Young man, you would be trying your best if you were in medical school.
Oh, Dad.
But you're not in medical school.
I'm never going to be a doctor like you.
No, you're not.
I'm
I
sorry. I'm not as good as our older brother Jacob. My older brother Jacob.
Your older brother Jacob is twice the man you could ever be.
It's exactly twice?
Exactly twice. He is
2.0,
twice
not
as
even
tall,
two-
twice as wide, which means his area is 4 times as large.
And his volume would be
And his volume, don't even talk about his volume.
8 times the volume.
8 times the volume if
I
we're
like our
cubing
accents.
your-
Can I ask what's the difference between the QAS and SAS service for the SAT?
Yes.
No, you cannot. Oh.
Well, you can.
Oh, okay.
And I will answer you even though you haven't. The answer to that question is the SAS is just, here's what you got wrong, and it's a hard question, or it's a middling question, or it's an easy question, and here's our stupid categorization of these questions. And it doesn't help you. The QAS is way more comprehensive, and it gives you the question types, or it gives you the questions themselves, so you can see them, and it's way better for identifying what your issues are, why you got questions wrong.
You can actually look back and find, oh, I remember doing this question, and now I see why I got it wrong.
Man K-Board, yes you do.
Yes, Mankboard.
There is a recorded video. Also, this is for the ACT too, so Dargon. ACT is the same, or for everybody. The ACT, I would recommend if you are not taking the ACT for the last time, or you think you might not be. I don't think the TIR is this month, though. I think the TIR... can you check on that, when the TIR is? Does anybody know, is the TIR for the SAT or ACT used tomorrow? It doesn't matter at this point if they haven't signed up for it for tomorrow. No, June, December, April. Okay, so it would be great for you if the first time you take the test is on one of those TIR dates, or you can find the QAS dates for the SAT, because it allows you to see what your problems were on test day, why you messed up on specific things. You can figure those things out, identify that, come fast with questions.
Yeah.
Also, in that vein, might as well talk about our diagnostic. If you go to nerdish.com, so not this, but nerdish.com, still with a 3 though, we allow you to take a diagnostic. It's one of the free online tests. We have an SAT one and we have an ACT one, so if you've taken it already, it's going to take us a while to get those other tests up there. But you can take the test, put in all your answer choices, and we will spit back out to you basically a QAS or a TIR, but it's better because it's our categorization, which is better than theirs, we think. It is. And it will tell you, here are your high-yield topics that you need to work on. So, the things you got wrong the most. So if it's commas, or if it's, I don't know, circle questions, or whatever it is for each thing, and it's super useful.
Question on the Discord, which is systems of equations with 3 variables. You ever seen that?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a system of 3 equations with 3 variables, then that works.
Yeah, no, I'm saying the question is, like, is it on the ACT?
Oh, yeah, that could be.
And should we talk about it?
Yeah, I can do something real quick. If you have x plus y plus z equals...
10.
I don't want 10. I don't want 10.
Fine.
18, and then you have x, y equals 30.
Mario, there is a way to do that, yeah.
And then you have z minus y, which is 1. So you have these 3 equations. And I want you to solve for x, y, and z. It's the same approach, but because you have 3 equations, you can use substitution or elimination however you would like. And it's still the same approach. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to do substitution. So I'm going to say that z equals y plus 1.
Yeah, in this case, elimination wouldn't actually work.
Yeah, it doesn't work because it doesn't line up well. So from here, I'm going to take this z and I'm going to plug it in for that. So now we're going to have x plus y plus 1 equals 18. So this is x plus 2y equals, I'm going to subtract the 1, 17.
And then his other equation is also in terms of x and y, and then you have a standard system of equations with 2 variables and 2 equations. So from there, substitution again, you'll get the answers.
Yep.
What you might have to do, though, at the very end is once you find what x and y are, go back and find out what your z originally was.
Yep.
But same strategy, just multiple steps.
Any questions on that? It's the same thing. If you know how to do a system of equations with 2 variables and 2 equations, you can do it with 3 and 4 and 5. They won't make you do that, but maybe 3.
They will make you do that.
It will. Why, I oughta.
Why, you oughta. You kids, get off my lawn.
You sleuthful youths.
Any youthful sleuths.
Ugh.
Oh, come on! Now you gotta go down. Here. Oh, jeez. The things that I just... Oh, God. Can you finish that?
Last. Yes, I can. Yeah, okay, I didn't erase too much of it. So we got...
These two right here. You got x
Yeah.
plus 2y
Yep.
is equal to 17, and xy is equal to 30.
Yeah, so I'm going to solve for x up here. So I'm going to say that x equals a negative 2y plus 17. Then I'm going to plug this in for that x there. So now we're going to get y times negative 2y plus 17 equals 30.
This is a quadratic.
And now it's a quadratic, so we have negative 2y squared plus 17y minus 30 equals 0. I did
See
a couple
that?
steps there.
So you
I
put it in
subtracted
standard
30.
form.
I put it in standard form because I want it in standard form because now we can do quadratic formula or we can do just factoring. And if we do factor, we're going to get...
Make it all positive.
I'm going to make it all positive. I'm going to multiply everything by negative 1 on both sides, technically. So 2y plus...
Nope. It's also going to be minus.
You drowned out my nope. I swear I knew.
Are you guys not tired or sleepy? Well, Levi and I actually are able to replace sleep with free tutoring. So we can do this as long as it takes.
Yep.
We actually will not feel any bit tired. It's kind of like coffee for us. Do I have to do the entire diagnostic to get results, or...
You can do the...
Whatever section you want, and then press submit, and then the other sections you'll just get completely wrong.
You'll do a terrible job on the other sections.
But you'll see what you got for
Yeah.
the section that you're interested in, and it will give you a report about those things.
Yeah. That is live, right?
Yeah.
It is? Okay.
Yeah, just like us.
So here...
Go ahead. 2i squared.
Yes. So this is going to be 2y...
Is it factorable?
Y. Yeah, well, it should be because I made up the numbers beforehand. I think it should be...
You have to be able to multiply to 60 and add to negative 17. So they have to be two
Yes.
negative numbers.
I think it's negative 6, negative 10? No, wait, what?
So multiply to 60, add to negative 17.
Oh, add to negative 17. 5 and 12.
5 and 12. Negative
Yeah.
5, negative 12. Yeah, you're good.
What have I done? Oh, okay. Negative 5, negative 12. And I want the negative 5 here.
Well, I don't go into that yet because you've got a leading coefficient that's not 2. So that's not 1.
Oh, right. What am I doing? Yeah, that's not right. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So now we have 2y squared
Mario!
minus 5y
Oh,
minus
have you been?
12y.
You've been wondering, huh? And you finally decided to ask us now? What is that?
It's too late.
Yeah, you could have asked us that way earlier, but you've been wondering this entire time and you haven't said anything. That's not good. You've got to say what you're thinking more often. What we're working on is called a light board, which is a huge pane of glass, and it was a huge pain, let's just say that. I'll be here for another 10 minutes. And there's LEDs, there's a strip of LEDs that's around the edges of the light board. So there's light going through the glass, which you can't see because it's going perpendicular to your vision. But as soon as we use our neon expo markers on the board, suddenly it lights up very, very bright. And our camera is flipping all the footage. So we're writing, accelerate's blocking that.
I gotta get used to that.
Might be, I was too focused on the math. We're just kidding, Mario. Obviously, it's a good question. Yeah, so our camera's reversing all the footage. So we're able to write in a way that would look normally backwards from your perspective, but then it switches it. So Levi looks like he's writing with his left hand. That's actually his right hand. I can confirm because I'm seeing it, and I'm inherently trustworthy.
Because you're a tutor.
Because I'm a tutor. We're both tutors.
You can
I'm a
dress.
lefty. This is actually my left hand. It looks like it's not. Don't trust your eyes. Trust your Brady. That's what I always do.
So that's what y equals, and then you can go back and plug that in for the other, here to find x, and then both of them in here to find z. But I do not want to go that far.
Mojo. Well done. They
Yes,
are backwards.
They are backwards. You are absolutely right.
Look at you, Mojo. They are totally backwards. Yeah, they look like Shibren.
Gosh.
No, his Shibren. Anyway, what are you doing, Levi? Scroll down.
I'm going to...
I never know what you're doing, Levi.
You always know what I'm... You
You're not-
actually always
You
know what
are
I'm doing.
always just doing things, and I don't really know what they are.
You, more than anybody else on the planet, you know what I'm doing at any given time.
Very true. So I would say that I'm lying completely when I say I don't know what you're ever doing.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Mojo, are your logos on backwards? You like that? Turn the question around, send it over your way.
Well, you change the sign.
Flip the fraction, change the sign.
Yeah, you
Slap
do.
the wrist, walk away. Flip the fraction, change the sign. Fanboys for and nor, but or yet so for. And nor, but or yet so for.
How long did it take you to make that setup? A long time. So we had to buy the wood. It was a lot of fun, though, to build it. We built this big frame, painted the wood black, put in LED strips, put in the glass, which was the wrong order. We should have put the LED strips on the
Check
glass
the
and
cord.
put it in
That's
the
not good. Check
frame.
the cord.
Check the cord.
Oh, the Discord. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought you meant there was a cord that was like unplugged. That's not good.
Okay. What is this? So nice. Oh my goodness, that's right.
Ah.
Give me a sec to read this and I will come back, but can you do other things?
Yeah, I can do other things. I can just keep erasing the things that aren't here. Yeah, so we grew the trees from young saplings. We made the glass, so I guess we'd have to glass blowing. I don't really know how they make glass. They made out of sand.
Yes.
They just melt it.
It's voice activated.
It's voice activated. Do you know how Khan Academy set theirs up? Yeah, sand in the furnace. Yeah, they use sand in the furnace to set theirs up. No, what he did is he used what's called a Wacom tablet. It's either Wacom or Wacom, W-A-C-O-M. So they're not actually behind a board.
It's Watcham.
No, it's not Watcham. You're Watcham. And so he's got a stylus on this tablet that connects to his computer. That's got software that is just a black screen. So as he draws, it pops up on the screen. He can choose different colors. It's super cheap. You just get the tablet, and you have to have a computer, which most people have. Could you cover arc area and arc length? Show fizzle. We actually talked about that earlier today. Levi, should I just tell him to look back earlier, or should I do it again?
Look back to where you were drawing.
Yeah, you'll see me doing something like this with like this kind of thing, and shading in. You'll see that earlier in the stream. Check that out. We do a pretty, I would say, hopefully a pretty in-depth explanation. 32 math, your test. Okay. Levi, can you pull the overlay?
Oh my gosh, can I pull up the overlay?
32 math, our test. Thank you for the question, Mojo.
Can you... I can't do it.
Yes.
Here. I'll just take it. That's so annoying.
Sorry, guys. We're getting the overlay. There's going to be a little bit of a
What
lag.
number?
32.
Math?
Yes.
Oh, that's English.
Just
Lagging, sorry.
keep going to get to 32. What do we got? Fantastic. 32. What fraction lies exactly halfway between 2/3 and 3/4? Well, let me give you a different question. How would you, can you link to the diagnostic test, or do I have to make an account? You have to make an account.
What?
On our diagnostic website.
Oh, to do the yeah, they have to make an account.
Yeah, you have to make an account. We're not asking. You could honestly make up all the information, your name, all that stuff. You have to have it right in an email.
Yeah.
Yeah, your email needs to be correct. Otherwise, you'll never get the results. Anyway, okay, so we're trying to find a fraction that lies halfway between 2/3 and 3/4. So 2/3 and 3/4. One way to think about this is if you know the midpoint formula. This is basically asking for the midpoint, just between two numbers. The midpoint formula takes the average of two numbers, So the midpoint, you have 2 points, x1 comma y1 and x2 comma y2, and you simply just add the two x coordinates together and divide by 2, and you add the two y coordinates together and you divide by 2. The reason that you do this is because if you only have two numbers in a list, and you take their average, which would be just adding those two numbers together and divided by 2, you will get the number that is directly between them. Okay, it is the average of two numbers. It's just right in the middle. So let's just do that with this. Take the average of these two fractions, add them up, and divide by 2. So 2/3 plus 3/4, we gotta have them have common denominators, which in this case is gonna be 12. So I'm gonna multiply both of these by, this first fraction I have to multiply by 4 over 4. The second fraction I have to multiply by 3 over 3. So this is gonna turn into, I got plenty of space here, 8/12 plus 9/12, which gives me 17/12. I've added the two numbers, now I have to divide by 2. So 17/12 divided by 2. This is another thing that I always do. Whenever I have some kind of operation involving a fraction and a whole number, and it's like, how do I do that? I turn the whole number into a fraction. A whole number can be very easily turned into a fraction just by dividing by, putting it over 1. So now we've got two fractions with division, and the way to divide fractions is to multiply by the reciprocal, so it's going to be times 1/2. Times 1/2 is going to be, here we go, 17 over 24. Yeah, 17 over 24. Exactly. Well done, Mojo. All right, Levi, I think overlay is off. Oh, and also, we got new messages. Here, Levi, scroll over to the right. Oh, okay, that's good. Epic. Eps. Epic. I'm more of a fan of the first one, Mojo.
Sure you are, Mojo.
You guys, sleep is very important, not to Levi and I, because we're going to be up
Levi
for...
and me. Sorry.
I'm not mad at you, I'm mad at myself.
Yeah.
I swear I'm not learning at all.
I'm not mad at you.
I'm not learning at all.
I'm mad at myself, too.
I said... What did I say? What was the sentence?
You said, I'm not mad at you, I'm mad at...
No, before that.
Oh, right.
It doesn't matter to Levi and me.
Yes.
Yes, I said it doesn't matter to Levi and I. But I is a subject, me is an object. It doesn't matter to Levi and me. And I make that mistake every single time, and Levi always catches me. And it's going to be a very, very long period of time for me to actually learn, because it's been 25 years of me saying Levi and me in the wrong place. Or not saying that in the wrong place. We need the mouse. You got the mouse. Good. I have the biggest question of the night. Are your shirts blue or purple? Oh, that's very good.
That is a huge question.
Yeah.
And the answer is, it depends.
I would say on the screen that I'm looking at right now, they definitely look more purplish, but I have the shirt on myself, and it is like right between the two colors.
No, it's not. This is aggressively blue.
I would say it's more blue than purple.
Purple.
It's definitely more blue than purple, but I think that there's a little bit of purple in them.
Mojo, you should take one of those color blindness tests. Very good.
If you do well enough, they'll let you be a pilot.
We have different colored shirts, by the way.
Then who?
You're
You?
definitely right.
Well, maybe not necessarily each other. We have different colored shirts than like what my dad's wearing right now.
Yeah, your dad looks exactly like my dad.
That's not true.
Yeah,
It's not true at all.
they look exactly alike.
Our fathers do not look alike at all.
Who art in heaven, right?
Hopefully not yet. Knock on wood.
What is
Nice,
wrong with
man.
this?
Really go for that button. Don't be afraid to just go right on top of it and click it.
I'm gonna try.
You're so close.
It's actually from each other, not than each other, just so you know.
All right, so let's see. Let's simplify that. They're both even, so I can divide both by 2. 18 over 800, still both even, another division by 2.
And that's what we
9
both got.
Over 4. Oh, we can keep going!
Oh.
9 over 450, both divisible by 9. This is going to be 1 over 50, I believe. 50 times 9, yes, 1 over 50, which is going to be 1/50th that's 0.02. So Levi and I are both 2%ers. I mean, Mario, we knew that's what you meant. And it's a mystery. I actually didn't take the SAT. I took the ACT. And Levi did not take the ACT. He took the SAT. So it is impossible that he and I both got both of those scores because we did not take both of them growing up. That's funny. Mario. 2%. Because the upper 1%. I'm getting tired, man. I mean, I'm not because it's free tutoring, so I'm awake. I read that
We're almost
that's
done.
furry.
Looks like we're ending on the essay again.
For some reason, I just got the voice of the narrator in SpongeBob stuck in my head, which Levi doesn't know because he doesn't
3
watch
hours
SpongeBob.
later.
Yeah, okay, you got that.
Yeah.
Yes. Gulagoon, stuff like that. It's fine. You guys teach Calc BC. Silence right. We tutor Calc BC. So message us in Discord. Private message us, and we can talk about
Oh
it.
yeah, we do not. We only tutor for free SAT and ACT test prep. We don't do other stuff.
On the stream.
Yeah, on the stream.
Yeah. Show Fizzle. You're going to have to work backwards. You're going to have to figure out what the original angle was. Am I going to do this?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
fine.
So, if this is 50 degrees... No, I'm sorry. You're not given that. You're not given that. All you're given is arc length and radius. Radius is 8. The arc length is maybe 17.2. You have to use the formula we talked about earlier, which I know you will watch after this video, in order to find out what this angle is. And then from that angle, use that to find what the sector area is. The general formula we talked about is angle over 360 is equal to arc length over entire circumference. So in this case, we know the circumference because we know the radius. We know the arc length because they give it to us. 360 is just 360. So the first thing you're going to have to do is solve for the angle. Once you have the angle, you can use this and set angle over 360 equal to sector area over the entire area. And by that point, you'll know the angle. You don't know the sector area because you're trying to find that, but you can find the entire area because you know the radius. So again, if you know your formulas, that will be taken care of. Whatever you got to find that angle. You just have to. You got to go backwards, find the angle, and then move forwards again. Two and a half hours later. The nerdish boys are getting tired.
Yes.
It is close to their bedtime.
Mojo, if you're still here, and anybody looking at the essay, Mojo posted an essay prompt in our Discord. And it basically says there's innovation and our society likes it, but maybe we shouldn't do it as much or put as much emphasis on it. So that's the general topic. And then one of the first perspective says it's bad because it means we create a lot of waste. Let's go. This is what I've been waiting for. Yes, good. And then perspective 2 says it's good because it's better to make new mistakes than just keep repeating the same old mistakes. And then perspective 3 says it's bad because we're just spending money on old things that are just packaged in shiny new ways. Okay, so our approach should be we want to figure out our thesis. So whatever you feel like arguing, just do that. Or if you feel like you can't argue it, do that. So I feel like I can argue innovation is good pretty well. So that's going to be my thesis. Obviously, word it a little bit better than that. Innovation is good. And then I want to give it a little context. That will give your essay a little bit more pizzazz. It will probably help your score. Now, there are more important things to your score, like the structure and the clarity and things like that. But to give it a little oomph, give it some context. So I'm going to give the context. Our society is innovation. It was created by innovation. You know, when we were when we were cavemen, we innovated. You know, the wheel is an innovation, but we're not going that specific. But our society has grown out of innovation from earlier iterations of our society. That's how I start. Therefore, innovation is good. And then we say, okay, we're going to do a couple things of why innovation is good. So, new mistakes are better than old mistakes. Or we can say with life quality is better. So that's number 1 of our support.
It is 10:30, by the way, so
Yeah.
you're done.
the quality of life is better. And we can say new mistakes, we can include perspective 2. Now, don't necessarily say perspective 2, but say new mistakes are better than old mistakes. And then you give examples. So, yeah, it stinks that we're innovating these new locks on our front doors because it's a lot of money and there's bad. This is a bad example, but we're innovating locks on our front doors. Okay, well, yeah, there are mistakes with that. Somebody gets their hand chopped off by some crazy new lock mechanism. But also, it's better than the old mistake of we don't have locks, so everybody's getting attacked in their homes at night. Do a better example than that. Don't make up statistics. That would be silly. So I want an example or two of that, but this is now perspective 1 that you have analyzed. So you've said good new mistakes are better than old mistakes, probably because these mistakes have gotten fixed, and you'll never get to the new mistakes, but the old mistakes are worse, generally. Okay? So you have to analyze. So you want to analyze this. That's not how you spell that here. Analyze, that type of thing. Okay, and now let's go to our second support. Let's say that, let's start with this one. So we can actually intro with this. Some people say that it makes waste. So it's wasteful. We use too many products. We throw out too many things. But we say, well, wait a second. If waste is what we care about, what about all of the positive, the innovation with regards to recycling? So recycling innovation, something like that. That is innovation. There's, let's see, things like that. So you want to engage with this perspective 1. Oh wait, this is perspective 2. Sorry, this is perspective 1. So you've engaged with it, and this. So that should be your intro line. The main idea here is that more harm. Sorry, not that. Waste is necessary. Maybe that's your thesis, your main thing. Waste is, or change is good, or something like that. We want new things. New is good, something like that. So that'll be your second paragraph. And then maybe you want a third one where it's bad because we spend money on shiny old stuff. Okay, well, this one could be, let's see. The goal of living is improving. Otherwise, just what is the point of our society, right? We're trying to improve, and so we should be spending our money on innovation. That's the whole point. Also, innovation is a very broad term, so you want to definitely define that ideally. And then here you're going to introduce perspective 3. So the same thing. Some people say money wasted on BS innovations. Don't say that, obviously. This is no good. Or, they're saying this is no good, but you say, well, we're trying to improve. What else is the money for? We should be reinvesting. So that's how you're gonna respond to this, is we should be reinvesting. There you go. Our money goes farther, things like that. So with innovation, you can, innovation with, reusable plastics or something like that allows you to spend less money. It makes things more durable, things like that. So you don't have to. Okay, so that's a good one. Thought about that a little bit. So innovation. You can get more durable products, and then you save money. Can we get a screenshot too? Yeah, sure. Okay, in a sec. And then conclusion. Restate. I wouldn't worry about anything else. Just restate it.
One thing I forgot, and I actually forgot it last night. I can't believe I did that. In your context, so here, somewhere there, before you get to your thesis, define terms. Define terms is number one. Number two, why do we care? This essentially is the context. So that's how I define context in this context. You're going to say, all right, we're having a discussion about innovation. So what does that mean? What does it mean to innovate? It means to create new products, to explore new ways to live our lives. Innovation doesn't just mean, the next toothbrush or something. It could also mean new organizational techniques for cities and urbanization and building bridges. It can be so many different things. So it can be, innovation is, by definition, the exploration of ways to improve our society. By that very definition, how could we not want it? And then you move. So therefore, innovation is good. And then you go here. So now, there you go. You can take a screenshot. You have 5 seconds. I'm going to hang out here. I don't know. You're going to have to put up with me with my face over here, I think. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that? Sorry. When did that come in? Oh, recently. Okay, yes. Good luck on the test tomorrow. Gaius Petronius, we are writing backwards. It's not that we're writing backwards. You are seeing backwards. So it's just, luck of the draw. Thank you for watching. We are here Sunday through Thursdays normally. So even if you're cramming for tonight, awesome. Good luck on the test tomorrow. If you're not, we can see you after because we're doing other stuff. Tonight was all ACT. In the future, we'll be doing more of both. 36 incoming. That's right. Get the best score you can. Come on back. Say how you did. Let us know. It'll be good to see you. Have a good night, everyone. Bum, ba, na, bum.